Chapter 323. Erlang Shen wants to descend forbidden. Could it be that Tai Bai Jinxing was infertile? Yi Zichen thought evilly in his heart. If it's really like that, then come to the mortal realm. Don't worry about infertility, come to Victoria to the 3rd floor. However, logically speaking, they could all change their appearances and develop their bodily functions, so they shouldn't be bothered by such a low-end problem. What happened to Tai Bai Jinxing's wife and children? Brother, I'm only telling you because our relationship is strong enough. Please don't tell anyone else. Also, don't tell others that I told you. Otherwise, old Lord Taishang will really beat me up. Erlang Shen nervously replied. Alright, tell me. I definitely won't tell anyone else, Yi Zichen replied with certainty. Actually, I heard this news from old Lord Taishang. Erlang Shen licks his lips. After chasing away all of the servants and guards in the surroundings, he says, Tai Bai Jinxing's wife and children have all died in battle. What? Yi Zichen sat up from the bed and looked at the message in shock. If the news came from old Lord Taishang, it would definitely not be fake, but, dying in battle, this was too shocking. Back then, I hadn't become an immortal yet. I haven't even been born yet, let alone become an immortal. It was said that there was a plane above the immortal world called the Divine World. During the Great War of Gods and Devils, the celestial realm fought against the devil realm's devil god and his great magi. Tai Bai Jinxing and his wife and daughter participated in the war, but they all died in the end. Erlang Shen said carefully. Only Tai Bai Jinxing returned. He landed in the immortal world's heavenly courts and became Tai Bai Jinxing. He always maintained a warm smile on his face, but as soon as someone mentioned his children to him. Let's put it this way. Back then, a deity who had just attained Tao ascended to the heavenly court. I don't know what he said, but it might be about Tai Bai Jinxing's children. After that, the Jade Emperor personally came forward to deal with it. In the end, the news was sealed. Tai Bai Jinxing was not punished at all. This news caused Yi Zichen's eyelids to twitch. If everything Erlang Shen said was true, then he was truly lucky that Tai Bai Jinxing didn't kill him just now. He had heard about the great war of the gods and demons from the dragon ancestor. He heard that it was quite tragic, but he didn't expect Tai Bai Jinxing to be one of the victims. Tai Bai Jinxing is actually quite pitiful. He has no children, nor does he have a wife. He didn't remarry and remained single all this time. Yi Zichen couldn't help but feel a hint of sadness in his heart. She didn't expect the smiling Tai Bai Jinxing to have such a story behind him. She definitely couldn't understand how much pain he was in right now. However, that kind of pain was absolutely heart-wrenching. Yi Zichen bowed deeply towards Tai Bai Jinxing, then closed the screen. Ding-dong. This great Tao of Heaven's birth consumed 176,500 cultivation experience. Pooh. He vomited blood. However, Yi Zichen also noticed a problem. The amount of cultivation experience required to look at different people was different. This time, he hadn't looked at Tai Bai Jinxing for long, but he used up so much, looks like I'll have to slowly figure out the specific consumption of this technique in the future. Alright, let's not talk about it anymore. Don't get involved with anyone from now on, Yi Zichen sighed. Oh yeah, why did you find me this time? Erlang Shen was currently clearing the chat history. The contents of the chat must not be known by anyone. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh after clearing all the messages, then revealed a playful expression. I heard that Chong Yi is going to descend to the mortal realm to find you. Bro, are you in the mortal realm right now? How did Erlang Shen know? Chong Yi told you? Yi Zichen asked in confusion. You two have a pretty good relationship. She actually told you something like that. Bro, don't think too much into it, Erlang Shen replied with a smile. Erlang Shen smirks as he replies, Fairy Chong Yi and I are just pure friends. This is your woman, as a brother, I will definitely not overstep my boundaries. Yi Zichen replied plainly. Actually, I found out about this because Chang-yi just came over and left little sister Jade Rabbit here with me. She told me to help her take care of her. That's not bad. She created a chance for you. When a single guy like you meets a cute girl like Jade Rabbit, sees. Yi Zichen replied naughtily. Hey, am I that sort of person? I refused. Erling Shin raised his eyebrows. Refused? I think you're afraid that you won't be able to control yourself. Yi Zichen smiled playfully. Erling Shin did not retort and merely smiled. I asked Chang-yi about Bro's location. F***ck. What is this brat doing? Yi Zichen gulped, while his heart raced. Why did you ask about my location? What do you want? Hee, the monkey went to find you at Bro's place last time. No matter what, we're sworn brothers, so I have to go and see you. Erlang Shin chuckled. Chang-yi and I were thinking about descending to see you together. He's looking for his husband, and I'm looking for Bro. At that moment, Yi Zichen was already speechless. Chang-yi's descent alone was enough to give him a headache. Why did Erlang Shin come as well? Are you sick? The Heavenly Court needs you for security. What if the Heavenly Court comes to find you if you descend to my place? I already told Canopy Marshal. He wanted to come down to see Bro as well, but I pushed him back. He agreed to help me take care of the Heavenly Court, but the condition is that you have to take a few pictures with him, and let him see what Bro looks like. Erlang Shin sat on the chair leisurely and ate the fruits that the maid brought over, while he held a cigarette in his mouth. You guys, Yi Zichen didn't know how to reply. Erlang Shin looked at the message and smiled. Bro, there's no need to be so excited. Excited? Why the hell am I excited? Yi Zichen was about to break down. Is there something wrong with these deities? Why did they have to descend to see me? It's not like there's anything wrong with my face. It's fine if the monkey came down, he's so stubborn, so I just used a bunch of snacks to get rid of him. But Erlang Shin and company also came down. What's more, Chang-yi would definitely stick to me if she came down. I really don't dare to think about it if Su Yen and company finds out. Bro, I have something to trouble you with. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Since trouble had already appeared, then he could only minimize it. Just say it, Erlang Shin smiled. You can come down, I'll receive you. Can you not let Chang-yi descend? Find a chance to make her stay in the Heavenly Court. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Why? Erlang Shin didn't understand. Chang-yi personally descending to find me was a great thing for anyone. Chapter 324. For kicking me. Chang-yi definitely could not be allowed to descend to the lower realms. If she descended to the lower realms, wouldn't it be a mess? In the Heavenly Court, Chang-yi had quite a number of diehard fans. If she came down, those flower protectors would also have to come down. To be able to work in the Heavenly Court, one must at least be a human immortal level expert. If they all came, Yi Zichen could only chuckle. Of course, it wasn't that Yi Zichen was a coward. He was just worried that too many deities would descend and disrupt the Heavenly Court's order. Yes, he was the kind of person who liked to think of others. Isn't it a little inappropriate to forbid Chang-yi from descending? Erlang Shin, who was eating an immortal fruit, put down his crossed legs and raised his eyebrows. I've already promised Fairy Chang-yi that we'll descend together in a few days. Don't talk so much nonsense. If you bring her down, then don't come to see me. Don't doubt me, I have 10,000 ways to make it impossible for you to find me. Yi Zichen replied with a hint of threat. Erlang Shin frowned and thought for a moment before replying. Alright, I'll give it a try. The two of them chatted for a bit more before Erlang Shin's game ended. Yi Zichen laid on the bed and sighed as he looked out the window. He didn't dare to go out anymore. Perhaps that silly woman, Chi Cheng, was waiting for him outside. Since he had nothing to do, Yi Zichen took out his phone and downloaded a palm reader app. The moment Yi Zichen entered the page, he saw a novel called Red Packet Server being pushed. Seeing that the title was rather interesting, Yi Zichen clicked on it. 666 This author is really godly. Isn't he talking about me? He raised his eyebrows in interest, but before he could enjoy himself, he had already reached the last chapter. Hurry up, hurry up. Yi Zichen sent a few messages in the book circle, then noticed a monthly votes group. Screenshot of the monthly ID. As soon as he entered the group, a member named Ji Xian sent him a private message. I'm here to urge you to update. Are you an author? How can I add more chapters? Take a screenshot. Ji Xian's main body had quite a temper, so he only replied with 2 words. Yi Zichen was a bit unwilling. I'm a lord that even deities have to be careful with. This brat actually dared to treat me like this. I'm asking you how I can add more chapters. Isn't it just 5 monthly votes? I'll vote for you later. Bang. You have been removed from the red envelope super monthly votes group. Yi Zichen was stunned for a long time as he looked at the message on his phone. The next moment, he immediately became furious. Good, very strong. He had a temper. Yi Zichen ran back to the bookstore and found a message that Ji Xian had sent before. 1,000 monthly votes plus updates. Isn't it just 1,000 monthly votes? Let's see who has the temper. Yi Zichen smiled coldly, then opened the top-up system and directly charged 100,000 yuan worth of mooncakes to his account. Let you kick me this month voted 1,000. I voted 2,000 this month for letting you kick me. I voted 3,000 this month for you to kick me. I voted 100,000 this month for letting you kick me. After Yi Zichen spent all of his monthly tickets, he left a message in the bookstore. Brothers, I've cast 100,000 votes. The author said that he would add one update with 1,000 vote. Quickly contact him and ask him to add more updates. I want to read. Not long after the message was sent, Yi Zichen saw that his message had already been liked over 100, while a row of replies followed. God level rich. Beautifully done. Add more updates. Big bro is mighty and domineering. I'm already contacting Lil Xian. At the same time, the red envelope super monthly votes group exploded. Ji Xian himself, hurry up and come out and add more updates. Someone cast 100,000 votes. Ji Xian himself, 1,000 votes per chapter. Hurry up and add more updates. Ji Xian himself, the author, come out. Ji Xian, who was fighting with his life on the line in the small dark room, glanced at the messages in the group. His head buzzed when he saw the 100,000 vote. It's a lie, right? Yi Zichen opened the palm reading app and saw that the top message in the bookstore was sent by Let You Kick Me. Then he took a look at the monthly votes ranking. Ugh. He coughed up blood. Heroes, please wait a moment. This little one will update right now. Ji Xian continuously wiped away the sweat on his forehead, then ran into the small dark room and glanced at the drafts that he had painstakingly saved for a long time. Bro, sorry. Clap, clap, clap. Yi Zichen sent out the drafts on the author's platform. These drafts were written by him while he was strangling himself. Yi Zichen had thought about going out on a date when he had time to pick up girls and use these drafts to pass his days. Now, he sent them all out. After sending out the drafts, Ji Xian rubbed his temples, then opened the small dark room and started to crazily type. Approximately half an hour later, the app was synchronized. Yi Zichen glanced at the updates and got angry when he thought about how Ji Xian kicked him out of the group. Didn't you kick me? See if I don't tire you to death. Without saying anything else, he sent another 100,000. Let you kick me this month's votes, 101,000. Let you kick me this month's votes, 102,000. Let you kick me this month's votes, 200,000. Yi Zichen was having a good time voting, but the message he sent a while ago exploded. The godly tycoon made a move again. This time, Lil Xian is in trouble. Godly tycoon, please stop. Lil Xian is just a child. Morning broadcast, the famous online novelist Ji Xian risked his life for literature. Our reporter reported The famous online novelist Xin suffered from excessive fatigue. I'll definitely be able to enjoy myself this time. Xin, hurry up and update. Yi Zichen noticed that the fans in the novel circle were rather nice to the brat Xin after seeing the various replies. They were afraid that he would get tired, so they continuously sent him messages telling him to stop. Yi Zichen also knew that writing was something that required a lot of brain power. He quite liked this novel, so he couldn't let the author tire himself to death. Yi Zichen thought about it, then climbed back up from where he fell. Add the group. This time, he directly sent a screenshot of his monthly votes ID over before Xin himself sent him a message. Can I stay in this group now? Xin, who was crazily typing in the small dark room, heard the group chat. Originally, he didn't want to bother with it, but as a fan, he went out to take a look at the private chat. The person who sent him the message was the brat that the manager kicked out just now. Then he looked at the screenshot. Hero, just stop. You're trying to tire this little one to death by voting like this. Heh. Yi Zichen wrinkled his nose proudly, then replied as he typed on his phone's screen. Weren't you pretty amazing just now? Didn't you kick me? Don't I have to vote to enter this group? I've voted now, so I'm asking you if you can stay in this group for me. Yes, you can definitely stay. Xin himself replied as he wiped away the cold sweat on his forehead. The world of a godly tycoon truly wasn't something a small author like him could understand. 200,000, just like that. Did they get all this money from the wind? I was thinking that I can't. It doesn't matter if I can't, I'll vote 100,000 later. Don't, please don't. Yi Zichen felt his scalp go numb when he saw the message. He did not doubt the words of this godly tycoon's fan at all. He already voted 200,000. He only lacked the 100,000. My lord, tell me what I can do to not vote. If you continue to vote like this, then I, Lil Xin, will really tire myself to death. Lil Xin isn't a full-time writer, so my energy is limited. Chapter 325. Lulu comes to the capital. Xin was really speechless at this time. Meeting such a godly tycoon with such a temper, he was really happy and in pain. Yi Zichen felt great when he saw that the author was speechless. At the same time, even the haze of meeting that retarded bitch in the morning was swept away. Are you afraid now? God tycoon, please stop. Xion's little face scrunched up. If only he had known better, he wouldn't have asked for 1,000 votes. Now, he owed a few hundred votes. Since you're so sincere, I'll let you go. Yi Zichen smiled, then prepared to close the app. However, before he did so, he couldn't help but tease the author a bit. I told you, don't kick me. If you kick me out, it won't just be about 200,000 vote. Yi Zichen closed the app with a chuckle as Xian replied with a wry smile. After reading the latest chapter, he looked at the dark sky outside and fell asleep on the bed. At the same time, the author of Red Packet Server, Xian, was also wiping off his cold sweat and staying up late. The next day, Yi Zichen was woken up by the crisp sound of his phone alarm. When he took out his phone and saw the caller ID, he immediately became alert. Brother Yi. The person who called him was Gu Tian. Yi Zichen came to the capital for him, or rather, for the Gu family. He had always been curious about the Gu family. Most importantly, he seemed to have some connection with the Gu family. In order to understand the truth of the matter, I must go to the Gu family to investigate. You finally remembered me. I thought you had forgotten about me. Yi Zichen smiled faintly. Gu Tian paused for a moment, then snorted. I'm really sorry. The situation in the family has been a little complicated these days. Even though I know it's a cesspool, I can only bite the bullet and jump in. It seems like your family is in a mess now? Yi Zichen smiled faintly. Gu Tian, who was on the other side of the phone, nodded, more or less. Those guys are doing everything they can for the position of the junior family head. Then you didn't use any tricks? Don't tell me you don't want to fight for it. If that's the case, then there's no point in me coming here. Yi Zichen replied with a smile. Of course I have to fight. With those guys' personalities, if I don't fight, they might eat me up. I'm just trying to protect myself. To be honest, I don't have much ambition for the position of young patriarch. However, with you around, even if I don't fight for it, those old fellows will take the initiative to push for it. Gu Tian replied with a smile. He glanced at the old men who were studying in the room and shook his head with a smile. Where are you? I'll go and pick you up. I'll let you experience the atmosphere of this cesspool. Then I have to buy a disinfectant mask. Yi Zichen pursed his lips into a smile. I'm staying at a hotel near the airport. Just call me when you get there. After Yi Zichen hung up the phone, he washed up quickly, then called for food from the motel, then sat on the sofa and watched TV leisurely. About 10 minutes later, dong, dong, dong. He threw the remote control to the side. If there were no accidents, it should be the food delivery. He got up, walked to the door, and opened it. A deliverman wearing a rabbit mask pushed the dining cart into the restaurant. Why aren't you leaving? The delivery man continuously stared at Yi Zichen after pushing the dining cart in. From her eyes, Yi Zichen could tell that she should be a female. Why should I leave? It wasn't easy for me to get here. At that moment, the delivery man took off her mask. Lu. Yi Zichen put down his hand in shock. When he heard the laughter just now, he thought that it was Qi Qing, that woman. He nearly wanted to hit her and call the police. Hee. Lu closed the door with a giggle, then glanced at Yi Zichen's hand. What are you doing? Are you going to hit me? Yi Zichen was speechless. No one would dare to hit her. The scene of her freezing people into ice shards was still fresh in his mind. Yi Zichen couldn't help but shiver when he thought of it. Why did you come here? Wait, how did you find me? Yi Zichen changed the topic and sat down on the sofa in the room. Lu followed behind him with her hands behind her back, while her actions revealed a cute and mischievous look. I missed you, so I came over to find you. Don't forget, I can smell you with my nose. I nearly forgot about that. But Lulu's nose is truly sharp. It was one thing for her to be able to smell it when they were rather close in Bingqing, but she can still smell it in the capital. Should I say that her nose is good, or should I say that I smell too strong? Fine, you're amazing. Yi Zichen shrugged helplessly. Oh yeah, where did you go a while ago? I didn't see you in school. I'm not telling you. What happened? Didn't you see me? Did you miss me? Lu put her hands on Yi Zichen's thighs, while her eyes were filled with mischief. Look at my lips. Yi Zichen mouthed F*ck off, causing Lu to twitch her mouth in annoyance. You're not cute at all. If the Zhang Junbao from before knew that I came to find him, he would definitely laugh himself to death. I came all the way to find you, and you actually told me to F*ck off. I'm not happy. Yi Zichen frowned and acted like he was about to cry. At that moment, someone knocked on the door once again. Who is it? Lu frowned, then scanned Yi Zichen with a judgmental gaze. It can't be your little lover in the capital, right? Or perhaps it's the hotel. Ziziz. Lu squinted her eyes, then ran to the door with her hands behind her back and opened it. Bro, let's go. Bro will take you out for a walk. The person standing in front of the door was Fatty Yin, who stuck to Yi Zichen like glue. Wrinkles formed on his chubby face from smiling, but when he saw that the person who opened the door was actually a petite and exquisite little beauty, I entered the wrong room. Sorry. Fatty Yin looked at the room number with a coy smile, then was stunned. There's no mistake. Fatty Yin poked his head out and glanced at the room. When he saw Yi Zichen, who sat on the sofa speechlessly, his face filled with a smile once again, and he ran to Yi Zichen's side. Bro, not bad. Keeping a mistress in your house. You haven't been idle even after coming to the capital. Fatty Yin's face was filled with concealment. However, at that very moment the temperature in the room suddenly dropped. Lulu's face was filled with a heart-chilling coldness, while a whirlpool of ice and snow appeared in her hand. Chapter 326. Swearing on a heart demon. The temperature in the room plummeted. Yizichin, who was sitting on the sofa, looked up and couldn't help but shiver when he saw Lulu's frosty expression. She had used this exact stance when she froze the snakeman. A hint of shock also flashed across Fatty Yin's eyes, then he raised his eyebrows in confusion. The room seems to have turned cold. Do you still want to continue pretending in front of me? Lulu squinted her eyes, while the whirlpool of ice and snow in her hand grew larger and larger. Why did you intentionally get close to Yizichin? Answer me. Girl, you're so weird. I hit it off with him the moment we met on the plane. He even helped me solve a small problem. How did you say that I intentionally got close to him? Fatty Yin puffed out his chest with a frown. Lulu smiled. If you're not going to say it, then die. Lulu smiled. If you're not going to say it, then die. She slapped the whirlpool of ice and snow towards the fatty without any hesitation. Yizichin felt a chill down his spine and quickly grabbed her arm. What are you doing? Lulu frowned. Why won't you let me kill him? Lulu, this is a peaceful meeting. Don't fight and kill. This fatty is just a normal person. It's against the law if you kill him. Actually, Yizichin had already suspected that the fatty was someone from another race that had come to assassinate him. Through the fiery eyes of truth, he was able to tell that the fatty was just a normal person. After that, he stopped worrying and thought that the fatty was merely someone who got close to him. Don't forget your identity. Lulu frowned, then snorted as she pointed at Fatty Yin. This guy has two spiritual bodies in his body. What? Yizichin's expression shook. He stared at Fatty Yin's stiff expression in shock, and continuously gulped. Two souls? Others can't tell, but I can. Lulu blocked Yizichin behind her and stared straight at the fatty. Tell me why you came, or die. Her face was filled with dominance. Fatty Yin raised his eyebrows in confusion. What are you saying? What are you talking about? Why don't I understand? I told you, don't pretend in front of me. Suddenly, Lulu's fingers glowed with a pale blue light. She slapped Fatty's head hard, and a spirit body was extracted from his sea of consciousness. The Ice Empress of the Three Realms truly lives up to her reputation. The spirit body smiled faintly before returning to Fatty's body. It crossed its arms and whispered, Actually, our goals are the same. I also want to protect him. There's no need for you to be so hostile towards me. Yizichin was completely shocked. He never expected the fatty in front of him to have two souls. That soul knew the Ice Empress of the Three Realms. Just because you say you'll protect me, doesn't that sound cute? The corners of Lulu's mouth curled up as she said, You can't be left alive. He leaped forward and slapped his palm toward Fatty. His figure flashed, and Fatty dodged Lulu's attack. Small path. However, it's too difficult for an avatar to deal with me. Little girl, I know you're doing this for Yizichin's sake, but don't be so paranoid. He wants to protect quite a lot of people. Fatty smiled, then squinted his eyes. I can swear on my heart demon. I can swear on my inner demons that I truly wanted to protect Yizichin. That's why I approached him. Lulu paused for a moment, then retreated after hearing the fatty's words. Fatty pursed his lips with a smile when he saw her retreat. Do you believe me now? Do you believe me now? Can you put away that world of ice and snow? This house is too cold. Heh, I'll just believe you this once. Lulu put away the ice and snow in her hand. The fatty said helplessly, That's not okay, right? If the oath on my heart demon is fake, then I'm useless. Heh, Lulu snorted coldly. Little girl, you really have a temper. Alright, since you're by Yizichin's side now, then I don't need to look after him for now. Coincidentally, I still have to help this little fatty deal with his relationship issues, so I'll be leaving now. With that, the fatty disappeared from the room. After a long while, laughter suddenly sounded out in the room. Oh yeah, I'll come over again when I have time. Gu family. Let's meet again. Ha 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 ha. The empty laughter lingered in the room for a long time. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes, then looked at Lulu, who was beside him. Is that fatty a good person or a bad person? I'm not sure, but it's more likely that he's a good person. Lulu licked her lips. An oath on his heart, demon. If he doesn't want to screw himself over, then he's most likely telling the truth. What's an oath on his heart, demon? Yi Zichen asked in confusion. I can't explain it to you even if I explain it to you. Right now you're still too weak. You'll come into contact with an oath on your heart, demon, when you become an earth immortal. Alright, Yi Zichen was truly a bit confused. If it wasn't for Lulu, he might not have known that the fatty actually had two spiritual bodies. It seems like the first level of the fiery eyes of truth isn't enough. If I have time, I have to hurry up and get some cultivation experience to buy all of the remaining secret scriptures for the fiery eyes of truth. Oh yeah, that fatty said that you came as a body double? The fatty glanced at her. Lulu nodded. My main body needs to stay in the deer clan of the three realms. Right now, the three realms are too chaotic, so I have to ensure the safety of my clansmen. Is the three realms that bad? That can't be described as bad. Lulu twitched her mouth and snorted. The struggle for the three realms is about to begin. The three realms are going to be reshuffled, so the relationship between the realms is very tense. Fine. Yi Zichen was just asking casually. Even if Lulu told him, he wouldn't understand. The struggle for the three realms. I seem to recall activating this new function in my phone. Am I going to get involved in the struggle for the three realms as well? Yi Zichen scratched his head. At that moment, someone knocked on the door once again, and the phone in his pocket also rang. Brother Yi, I'm here. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then quickly walked to the door and opened it. Gu Tian, with his signature smoke-colored hair, stood in front of the door with a faint smile. Brother Yi. Brat, you finally came. Yi Zichen patted his shoulder. At the same time, Lulu also walked over and tilted her head. Who is he? Brother Yi is living so well. You even have a beauty to accompany you in the capital. With that, Gu Tian cupped his hands towards Lulu. Gu Tian. Chapter 327. Born to eat, Yi Zichen was very desperate for the Gu family. The mystery of his birth had always been on his mind. Mother Yi could avoid it when the Gu family was mentioned, and when his birth father was mentioned, Mother Yi also stopped talking. Old Man Lin had also mentioned the true meaning of his name. Yi. Gu. All of these mysteries could only be solved in the Gu family. Brother Yi, why are you in such a hurry to go to the Gu family? It's better to go to that *TTY pit later. Gu Tian smiled and shrugged. It wasn't easy for me to come out this time, so I intend to play outside for a few more days. You really don't care about the position of the junior family head? Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. Gu Tian shrugged. Don't worry about it. Gu Tian shrugged. I said it before, I actually don't have much ambition towards the position of the junior family head. It's all because of the situation, there's no helping it. Since you're so careless, then I have nothing else to say. Although Yi Zichen really wanted to go to the Gu family, since Gu Tian didn't invite him over, then he couldn't be too direct with his words. He couldn't let anyone know of his true reason for going to the Gu family. Everything had to be done in secret. Brother Yi seems to care about this even more than me. Gu Tian is truly touched. Gu Tian smiled. I had wanted to tell Brother Yi to come a few days later on the phone, but I didn't expect Brother Yi to come the next day. Gu Tian, will never forget this favor. Don't say such useless bullshit. What are you going to do if you don't return to the clan? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. Of course I'm going to play, Gu Tian laughed. Gu Tian roared with laughter and said, During this period of time, I've been listening to that group of old bastards recite scriptures every single day, and my head is about to explode. Coincidentally, I heard that there's something interesting to see at Linha Garden in the capital. Let's go over together. Yi Zichen subconsciously looked towards Lulu. She blinked her cute eyes and pouted. Go if you want to. I'll just follow you. Yi Zichen gave Yi Zichen a thumbs up. Back in Bingqing, Gu Tian knew that Yi Zichen had plenty of women by his side. The person in front of him was clearly a newbie. Such a pretty and cute girl was actually subdued by Brother Yi. This method of picking up girls was truly unique. Yi Zichen ignored Gu Tian's little actions, and merely smiled towards Lulu, then caressed her hair. I'll be fine. You really don't have any opinions of your own. I just like following you. Lulu tilted her head and replied with a smile. Then let's go and take a look. I'm telling you, this is my first time in the capital, so you have to do a good job as a tour guide. Alright, Brother Yi, just wait and see. Gu Tian replied with a smile. The traffic in the capital was even more congested than in Bingqing. By the time they arrived at Linha Garden, it was already close to noon. Yi Zichen got off the car and nodded as he looked at the classical buildings. This place is not bad. If Brother Yi goes in, you'll definitely be even more surprised. Gu Tian smiled, then walked in with Yi Zichen. At that moment, a commotion sounded out. Hurry up and scram. You can't enter without a membership card. Why aren't you letting me in? Didn't you guys say that there's free food at noon? I already asked around, and you're telling me that I can't go in? I'm going to complain. Yi Zichen subconsciously glanced towards the direction of the argument, and saw a young man with his back towards him. The young man wore a white checkered shirt, and had 2 strands of hair on his head. The person in front of him was a security guard with an expression of displeasure. Yi Zichen could feel the explosive power in his body from his arm, which was as thick as a bowl. Brat, are you leaving or not? Too annoying, the checkered shirt young man cursed with a frown. The checkered shirt youth frowned and cursed. He stretched out his right hand, grabbed the security guard's arm, and threw him out. The person who wants to stop this lord from eating hasn't even been born yet. As soon as he finished speaking, the young man in the checkered shirt ran into the Linha Garden, shouting as he ran. As he ran, he shouted, I'm going to eat something good. Yi Zichen and company were completely speechless, while Gu Tian shook his head helplessly. This hothead. It won't take long for him to be beaten out. As expected, the sound of fighting rang out in Linha Garden in less than half a minute after Gu Tian finished speaking. The checkered shirt young man was chased by 7 or 8 security guards. He held a piece of bread in his mouth, and a cake in his hand as he continuously evaded the security guards. However, since he was outnumbered, the young man was caught and thrown out by the security guard. However, when he landed, the young man still carefully protected the cake in his hand and muttered, I can't waste food. The familiar scene caused Yi Zichen's face to be filled with helplessness. The young man was truly too similar to someone he knew. Let's go, stop watching, Gu Tian smiled. Gu Tian smiled faintly. Such a weirdo was rare even in Linha Garden. He had only watched for a bit just to watch the show. Now that there was nothing to watch, there was no need for him to stay. Kind boss. At that moment, a call sounded out from behind them. Yi Zichen turned around and saw the young man in a checkered shirt with 2 strands of hair on his head run over with a piece of cake in his mouth. It really is you, kind boss. Yi Zichen knew it. How could there be someone in the world that looked so similar to the weirdo he knew? The two of them were the same person. Go Yuzhan, why did you come to the capital? Kind boss, why did you come to the capital as well? What if someone steals the food instead of staying at home and looking after the supermarket? In Go Yuzhan's eyes, food was more important than anything else. Brother Yi, you can't know him, right? The young man in front of him was clearly the weirdo that fought over food with the security guards of Linha Garden. I do. Yi Zichen smiled helplessly. Bring him along. Alright. Gu Tian's expression darkened. He had wanted to say that he wouldn't be able to enter even if Yi Zichen brought him along. When they arrived at the entrance of Linha Garden, Gu Tian took out a platinum membership card from his pocket and handed it over. I want to enter. Platinum members can bring 3 people in, right? Yes, sir, the attendant smiled warmly. However, when he saw Go Yuzhan behind them, his face froze. He can't enter. This brat has been Linha Garden's nightmare recently. He didn't just come to Linha Garden to fight over food. He came a few days ago as well. Now, he has already been blacklisted by Linha Garden. Why aren't you letting me in? It's fine if you guys kicked me out before when I didn't have a card, but now that I have a friend who has a card, why aren't you letting me in? Go Yuzhan glared angrily and cursed. Chapter 328. Liha Garden. He was truly furious. There was a lot of food in Liha Garden. He had been happy that he found this place after coming to the capital, but the people inside kept stopping him from eating. It was fine before. He admitted that he didn't have a membership card, but now that the unknown person took out his membership card, the people here still wouldn't let him in. I'm telling you, hurry up and let me in. I'm not scaring you guys. If I really get angry, even my dad will be scared. Go Yuzhan's 2 strands of hair swayed as he glared at the attendant in front of the door. You trespassed into Liha Garden. We are already being merciful by not sending you to the police station. You still dare to yell at us. I'm telling you, they can all enter, but you can't. The attendant also glared at Go Yuzhan. At the same time, the security guards of Liha Garden also surrounded Go Yuzhan. When they saw Go Yuzhan, hostility surfaced in their eyes. I just beat him up and he's acting cocky again. Fine, do you really think that Grandpa doesn't dare? Zoom. A nunchaku appeared in his right hand as if he was performing a magic trick. He swung it a few times then posed like Bruce Lee. Take this! Slap. Yi Zichen slapped him on the head before he even swung the nunchaku. Fight my ass. Kind boss, why did you hit me? Go Yuzhan was confused. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh in annoyance, then said to the security guards, Bro, this friend of mine might not have a very good reputation here before, but he doesn't have any bad intentions. He just wants to eat something. Now that we have a membership card, don't be too strict and let him in. Sir, it's not that we aren't letting him in, it's that he's been blacklisted, one of the security guards said. Hearing that, Go Yuzhan was instantly enraged and walked in with his nunchaku. Blacklisted? Sure, then let's see who's more powerful. Calm down, Yi Zichen grabbed Go Yuzhan's collar. At that moment, the fragrance of jasmine appeared beside him. Big Brother Gu, a soft yet slightly confused voice sounded out. Yi Zichen turned his head and saw that Hua Jiru had appeared beside him without him noticing. Lil Hua. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. Can you not learn from that damn fatty? You can call me Xiao Ru or Jiru. Why are you calling me Xiao Hua? Hua Jiru pouted unhappily. At the same time, the security guards and waiters standing in front of them hurriedly bowed. Miss. Hua Jiru nodded towards the security guards. Yi Zichen was stunned for a moment before replying. This is your family's property. And yes. Hua Jiru smiled faintly and said, I roughly know what happened just now. Let's go in together. The security personnel in front of them quickly backed away. Go Yuzhan even rolled his eyes at the security personnel before he entered the building. Stop me, continue to stop me. Seeing that, Go Yuzhan snorted proudly, then followed Yi Zichen and company in. Along the way, Yi Zichen could clearly feel the gazes of everyone in Linha Garden looking towards them. To be more precise, they were looking towards Hua Jiru, who was beside him. Yi Zichen could see her exhaustion from the depths of her eyes. When he thought about the situation at the airport, it was very possible that the situation at home caused her to be so tired. Big Brother Gu, walk around. I have some things that I need to deal with. Huajiru suddenly stopped and said with a chuckle, "Go, just do what you need to do." Yi Zichen nodded towards her and watched her leave. Lulu, who was on the side, pouted and pulled the corner of his shirt with a frown. "Who is that woman? Why is she so close to you?" "Are you sure that she's very close to me? She doesn't even know what my surname is. How is she close?" Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. Only then did Lulu come to a realization, then pouted. "Oh yeah, she called you Big Brother Gu just now." Yi Zichen patted her head and revealed a helpless expression. Gu Tian also smiled, then looked at Huajiru, who was walking towards another garden. "She's from the Hua family. After Hua Lin died, she should be the #1 successor of the Hua family, right? But it doesn't seem to be that easy for her to inherit such a large family. As expected, there are a lot of things in a large family. Isn't it the same for you?" Yi Zichen smiled. "These large families are just troublesome." Can I go and eat something?" Go Yuzhan asked on the side. He wasn't interested in inheriting at all. His greatest interest was to eat. Go, don't cause trouble," Yi Zichen said in annoyance. "No problem." Go Yuzhan ran away excitedly. At the same time, Gu Tian also started to walk around Linhe Garden with Yi Zichen and company in tow. Linhe Garden could actually be called a trading area. Here, there were professional appraisers to appraise antiques, and it was the same for rare plants and flowers. There was no need to worry about being scammed here. As long as you have enough money, you can buy everything you want. After walking around Linhe Garden, Yi Zichen only ate some snacks. On the other hand, Gu Tian bought quite a bit. "Kind boss." At that moment, Go Yuzhan quickly ran over with a chicken leg in his hand. "Can you not call me kind boss from now on? Just call me by my name, Yi Zichen." Yi Zichen frowned. "That's not important." Go Yuzhan shook his head. "That kind girl is in trouble." "Kind girl?" Yi Zichen frowned. Lulu closed her eyes, then spoke up after a few seconds. "That Huajiru is indeed in trouble. Should we go over and take a look?" "Huajiru. Let's go and take a look." Yi Zichen frowned. Go Yuzhan instantly nodded. "Follow me." Go Yuzhan immediately nodded. "Follow me." After passing through 2 courtyards, Go Yuzhan brought Yi Zichen and company to a courtyard, where 2 hulks stood at the arched gate. This is a non-trading area. Unauthorized personnel are not allowed to enter. The 2 hulks crossed their arms and blocked the gate, while faint celestial spiritual pressure was emitted from their bodies. "Earth Immortals." Yi Zichen's eyelids twitched. The capital is truly not something that Bingqing can compare to. The people guarding the gate are all Earth Immortals. There truly are many capable people in the capital. "Your young lady, Huajiru, is in danger inside. Let us in." Yi Zichen frowned. The 2 hulks guarding the gate smiled. "That has nothing to do with us. Our mission is to guard here and not let anyone in." Huajiru is in danger. Chapter 329. Who won? In terms of dominance, it was Lulu. The title of Ice Empress of the 3 realms wasn't just for show. Although she looked cute and petite, anyone would tremble when they saw her when she truly got angry. As the surrounding temperature became lower and lower, Lulu also slowly opened her hands. "Rogue Immortal." The 2 hulks guarding the door frowned. They could already feel how dangerous the girl in front of them was. According to the rules, rogue immortals are not allowed to use celestial spiritual energy that surpasses that of an earth immortal in the modern realm. "You are breaking the rules," the bald man in a black singlet spoke up. Lulu merely smiled indifferently. "Rules are left for the weak. Whoever's fist is stronger is the rule. It's very clear that my fist is stronger, so your so-called rules don't work on me." Gu Tian was already shocked. He never would have thought that the petite and cute girl in front of him was actually so strong. Even the current family head of the Gu family might not be able to match up to her aura. Either F***CK off or die. Choose. The 2 men guarding in front of the door hesitated for a moment before they clenched their teeth and moved aside. Please! That's more like it. Lulu turned around with a frown and smiled towards Yi Zichen. Do you see that? Fist is everything. You little scum, you're too weak. Yi Zichen was very annoyed that he was mocked just like that, but he couldn't say anything. He was indeed too weak. If he couldn't retort, then he should just shut up. Go Yuzhan, who held a chicken leg in his mouth, snickered. When Yi Zichen glared at him, Go Yuzhan immediately looked up to avoid eye contact. Lil Ru, listen to second auntie. It isn't suitable for a girl like you to show your face outside. Our Hua family isn't some wealthy family. Fighting and killing isn't suitable for you. Hua Jiru stood alone in the center of the room, while a well-maintained middle-aged woman stood in front of her. That woman was her second auntie, Hua Lihua. A hint of mockery flashed across Hua Jiru's eyes when she heard Hua Lihua's persuasion. Then are you trying to tell me that it isn't suitable for you to show your face outside? Hua Lihua nodded in a non-committal manner. There's no other way, there's no man in our Hua family now, only the women are in charge. You're still young. How can I let you take over such a dangerous job? I'm doing this for your own good. For my own good. A cold light appeared on Hua Jiru's face. Even though she was surrounded by Hua Lihua's people, Hua Jiru remained fearless. She swept her cold gaze across everyone in the room. You all agree with what my second aunt said, right? Everyone's expression froze. Among this group of people were the assistants who had followed the old man to battle in the past. They knew very well that Hua Jiru was the rightful successor of the Hua family. However, the old man had already passed away, and Hua Jiru's foundation was still shallow. A wise man submits to circumstances. For the sake of their own interests, they had to stand on Hua Lihua's side. If you don't say anything, that means you agree. Hua Jiru revealed a distressed expression. This group of people in the past, they were the closest and most trusted subordinates of Grandpa. On the other hand, Hua Lihua's face was filled with confidence. Inviting Hua Jiru here was one of her schemes. As long as Hua Jiru dared to come, she was confident that she could snatch the position for herself. Xiao Ru, listen to second aunt's advice. Let go. That position is too high. It's not suitable for you right now. That position is really high. Hua Jiru nodded noncommittally. A trace of yearning appeared in her eyes. But who doesn't want to sit at the highest position? Isn't that right, second aunt? Hearing this, Hua Lihua's expression froze. Then it turned cold. Xiao Ru, you're forcing second aunt. Isn't second aunt also forcing me? Hua Jiru's expression also turned cold. She spoke in a sonorous voice. The entire Hua family knows that I'm the first successor. Second aunt invited me here and had so many people surround me. Are you trying to cut me off? Your words really hurt second aunt's heart. Hua Lihua smiled hypocritically. Hua Jiru revealed a mocking expression. She turned around and ignored the woman. Her gaze swept across the crowd. Hua family, from now on, I'm in charge. If you want this position, then come and fight for it. As soon as she finished speaking, she lifted her foot and took a step forward. At the same time, she smiled. Whoever dares to stop me will be blacklisted by the Hua family. I won't rest until I die. She pursed her lips tightly and took a step forward. Although she looked calm and composed, she was actually more nervous than anyone else. 1 step, 2 steps, stop her! Hua Lihua screamed. At the same time, her face was filled with malevolence. Xiao Ru, you forced second aunt to do this. Hearing the screams behind her, Hua Jiru sighed. Grandfather, I'm sorry. I didn't listen to you. You clearly told me not to gamble with others. No matter what I bet, I would only lose. But I didn't believe you. This time, I've lost again. This time, she didn't have any backup plans. She just wanted to take a gamble. Hua Jiru closed her eyes in resignation. She had almost given up any chance to resist. Actually, it wasn't that she didn't want to resist, it was just that she knew that resisting was futile. Lil Hua, It's not good to give up like this, right? A playful laugh sounded out. Hua Jiru opened her eyes and saw Yizichin standing beside her with a faint smile. As for the people in the room, they were all ready. I'll beat you to death. Who told you to bully kind Jiejie? Stand still, for Grandpa Goyujan held his nunchaku and chased after the people in the room to beat them up. Gu Tian did not stay idle either. He continuously weaved through the crowd and dealt the finishing blows. Be big, brother Gu. Hua Jiru smiled in surprise. She subconsciously reached out and hugged Yizichin's arm. However, at that very moment, a faint voice suddenly sounded out beside her ear. Let him go. Hua Jiru turned around and noticed that Lulu's eyes were burning with jealousy as she stared at her. Hua Jiru couldn't help but shiver from the cold aura. Sorry, I was just too excited. Hua Jiru let go with a coy smile. Hua Jiru smiled coyly and let go. Then, she calmed herself down, turned around and smiled at Hualihua. Second auntie, I won this time. Little bitch, do you really think you won? From the way Hualihua called Hua Jiru, it was clear that she was prepared to fall out with Hua Jiru. Yizichin's sinister eyes carried a faint smile. You're still too inexperienced. Do you think that second auntie won't have any backup plans? Clap clap. Hualihua clapped her hands, causing the smile on her face to become even brighter. Then, she bowed behind her. Sir, sorry to trouble you. Hee, a laugh suddenly sounded out in the room. Not long later, a man holding a folding fan walked down from the second floor. Chapter 330. My good son. The man who walked down from the second floor wore a black shirt, while holding a white folding fan in front of his collar. His footsteps were very light, and did not make any sound when he walked on the stone floor, while he revealed a soft yet playful smile. No one recognized the man in front of them, and no one knew who he was referring to when he said, son. Only Yizichin. Yizichin looked up at the man in front of him in shock, while his fingers trembled slightly. What are you thinking about? Aren't you happy to see Daddy? The man walked towards Yizichin step by step. Goyujan and Gu Tian, who were chasing the people in the room, also stopped. This uncle looks very similar to Yizichin. Goyujan bumped Gu Tian's shoulder. They are indeed very similar. Gu Tian nodded non-committally. Yizichin. Lulu, who was on the side, pulled him back. Only then did Yizichin return to his senses, then stared at the man in front of him. You, call me Daddy. Did Gu Rong not teach you even the most basic etiquette? The man maintained his soft smile. Gu Rong. Gu Tian, who stood behind them, was shocked, while he looked at the man in front of him in shock. The man seemed to feel Gu Tian's gaze and smiled. Someone from the Gu family is actually here as well. The people from the Gu clan are also here. Why do you have such an expression? Could it be that you're very shocked after hearing Gu Rong's name? Yes, you didn't hear wrong. I'm talking about the young lady of the Gu family back then, Gu Rong. Gu Tian was shocked. At that moment, Gu Tian's heart was in turmoil. Gu Rong. He had only seen this person's existence in the family records, but this person's name was crossed out with a red line. Back then, he had asked his father why someone's name was crossed out. His father's reply: that person was kicked out of the Gu family. Gu Tian could still remember the wry smile on his father's face when he said that. Gu Tian was shocked, but Yizichin was even more shocked than him. He had always thought that his father was someone from the Gu family, but why was it his mother? Then the man in front of me. Why do you have this expression? The man smiled sinisterly. Are you very shocked to see father? That's right, you've never seen me since you were young, so it's only right for you to be shocked upon seeing me now. But I really don't like your current expression. What is the man in front of me saying? Was he really her father? Why couldn't she feel a trace of familiarity from him? From the beginning to the end, his mouth had been smiling playfully. It was as if he wasn't his son at all and was nothing more than a joke. This feminine man was his father. What a joke! I'm talking to you, my good son. The man suddenly raised his hand. Yi Zichen, who was several meters away from him, suddenly felt as if someone was strangling his neck, then his entire body was lifted up. You really are the same as Gu Rong. This expression, I really don't like it. Yi Zichen clutched the area in front of his neck. He stood on the tips of his toes, his face contorted in pain. Bang! The man swung Yi Zichen to the corner of the room. Yi Zichen. Brother Yi. Kind boss. Everyone ran towards the corner of the room. Yi Zichen sat limply on the floor and clutched his neck as he coughed intensely, while a sliver of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Are you seeking death? Lulu, who was squatting on the floor, suddenly stood up. Then, her hair also turned light blue, while a howling wind continuously spread outwards with her as the center. Not long later, the wind was mixed with ice and snow, causing the entire room to turn into a white world. Lulu. Yi Zichen, who was sitting limply on the floor, stood up with the help of Gu Tian and Huajiru. He hobbled over to Lulu's side, patted her shoulder and shook his head. Are you all right? Lulu's words were filled with concern for him. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile, then wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. Then, he broke free from the support of the people beside him and walked towards the man in front of him. The man did not seem to care about Lulu's threat at all. He smiled as he looked at Yi Zichen, who was walking towards him, and said in a feminine tone, It looks like you have a lot of things you want to say to me? I do have a lot of things I want to say to you before this. Yi Zichen stopped when he was only 10 centimeters away from the man. They were of similar height, similar appearance. At that moment, it was as if Yi Zichen and the man were looking into each other's mirrors. Then you don't have anything you want to say now? My good son, you really hurt Dad's heart like this. The man squinted his eyes, while his tone was filled with mockery. Hurt? In comparison, my mom should be more hurt, right? Her. The man suddenly laughed. Even if she is hurt, it shouldn't be because of me. She should be hurt because of her family. It was the Gu family that pushed her to me in exchange for 100 years of peace. That's all. Hee. Yi Zichen smiled faintly. I said it before, I really hate that expression of yours. The man's eyes suddenly turned dark. You're very angry and want to take revenge for your mother? My good son, you're still too weak. Even if you want to take revenge, you should go and find your grandpa. If you don't believe me, then go back and ask Gu Rong who she hates the most. Is that so? Yi Zichen smiled, then his eyes instantly turned dark. I don't know who I should get even with, and I don't want to reopen my mother's scars. I only know that, right now, the person I hate the most is you. That's enough. Yi Zichen clenched his right fist, which shone brightly. Yi Zichen punched the man's face. Since the two of them were too close, the man was unable to dodge at all, and took Yi Zichen's punch head-on. Bang! After the punch, Yi Zichen's shoulders trembled violently. Anger. His heart was already filled with an indescribable anger. He didn't know the past, but just based on the man's words and his annoying appearance, Yi Zichen was able to say that he let Yi Rong down. My good son, you're not being obedient at all. It has always been the father hitting the son. Since when can the son hit the father? The man frowned, then swiped his finger across the corner of his mouth. When Yi Zichen saw the blood on his palm, you even made it bleed. You're truly disgraceful. Boom. All of a sudden, a suffocating spiritual pressure burst forth from the man's body. Chapter 331. Chapter 331 Clash. A terrifying spiritual energy pressure burst out from the man's body, while the berserk aura even blew away the ice and snow that Lulu had created. The eyes of everyone in the room twitched. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes towards Lulu with a frown. Take care of them. Take care of them. Then what about you? Lulu's expression changed. In her heart, only Yi Zichen was worthy of her concern. She didn't really care about the lives of the others. Don't be fooled by his strong aura, he's just an earth immortal. He can't do anything to me. With that, Yi Zichen looked up indifferently. His pitch-black eyes flashed with a faint golden light, while his skin also glowed with an earthy gray light. Fiery eyes of truth, activate. Unbreakable body, activate. My good son, do you want to fight Daddy? The man curled his lips, then chucked the fan in his hand into the air, clatter. When Yi Zichen and the man saw the fan fall to the ground, they both moved. Bang! The two fists collided with each other. A huge wave of spiritual energy swept outwards with Yi Zichen and the man at the center. Standing at the back, Gu Tian and the rest were almost unable to open their eyes from the spiritual energy wave. Fortunately, Lu Lu was in front of them, supporting them with a barrier. Otherwise, they might have been blown away by the wave. Hualihua wasn't so lucky. She was merely a normal woman. She was already unable to endure it the moment Lu Lu summoned the world of ice and snow. The moment the wave appeared, she was blown away and smashed into the wall, causing her to cough up a large mouthful of blood. This really is Brother Yi. Gu Tian's eyes were filled with shock. Gu Tian's eyes were filled with astonishment, and even Lu Lu couldn't help but be visibly moved. She had never seen Yi Zichen use his full strength, but she could feel that he had the strength of a false earth immortal from the faint fluctuation of spiritual energy around him. But in that scene just now, it was clear that his strength was not limited to just that. My good son, I really didn't expect you to be so weak. Not bad, you didn't inherit that foolish woman Gu Rong's weakness in terms of strength. The man smiled sinisterly. Yi Zichen stared at him. You really talk a lot of bullshit. You really talk a lot of nonsense. My ears are going to get calluses from listening to you. Hee. The man suddenly laughed coldly and exerted force on his shoulder, dong. Yi Zichen, who was on par with the man just moments ago, instantly flew out and crashed into the wall. Do you really think you're on equal footing with your father? The man scolded angrily. Yi Zichen. At that moment, Yi Zichen, who was lying on the ground with blood at the corner of his mouth, crawled up. He wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth, while his eyes were filled with endless hatred. The man in front of him was his father. What a joke! Yi Zichen roared, then transformed into a beam of light and shot towards the man once more. Bang 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 bang. In the room, Yi Zichen and the man exchanged blows so quickly that normal people could no longer see their movements with their naked eyes. They could only hear the intense sounds of collisions in the room. Dong, dong, dong. Time and time again, she flew out from the place where they clashed and crashed into the wall. Time and time again, she struggled to stand up and rush towards the man. Yi Zichen had already forgotten about the pain. At that moment, he only had one thought: defeat this person and take revenge for Mother Yi. Normally, Yi Zichen did have that kind of funny personality and would show a hint of leniency towards everyone. However, when someone truly touched his bottom line, even if he clearly knew that he wasn't the man's match, and that he couldn't win, he was going to go up and try. What kind of joke is this? A hoarse voice sounded out from Yi Zichen's mouth, while his eyes also turned blood-red. Yi Zichen madly charged towards the man again and again while harboring his hatred towards the man. However, nobody noticed that as he fought with the man, his hair gradually turned a faint blood-red, while his skin also started to turn bronze. Dong. Yi Zichen was once again sent flying into the wall by the man. At that moment, blood had already flowed out uncontrollably from Yi Zichen's mouth. He no longer had the strength to stand up from the corner of the wall. Thus, he could only lie on the ground and stare blankly in front of him as he struggled to raise his right hand. My good son, you're still too weak. The man squinted his eyes and smiled playfully as he walked over. The man narrowed his eyes and smiled playfully as he walked over. Lu Lu's hair, who had been protecting Gu Tian and the others, instantly turned the color of ice. You're seeking death. The man roared angrily. A black energy ball suddenly appeared in his right hand, which he chucked onto Lu Lu's chest without any hesitation. In the next moment, Lu Lu's body instantly turned faint, while her hair also returned to its original color. Body double, just stand on the side and watch the show. Do you think that a mere body double can pose any threat to me? The man laughed coldly. Then, he ignored Lulu, who was trying her best to repair her body double, and walked in front of Yizichin. He put his hands into his pockets, then reached towards the folding fan on the ground. The folding fan appeared in his hand. He waved the fan gently, then smiled in a condescending manner. "My good son, you're still too young to hit your lousy." With that, a hint of cruelty flashed across his sinister eyes. "My good son, you're still too young to want to hit your lousy. You are a wrong existence to begin with. If that's the case, then disappear." Then, he stomped his right leg towards Yizichin's chest without any hesitation. At that very moment, bang! The door to the room was suddenly smashed open, while a meatball-like fatty stumbled in and bumped into the man. "OF*CK, why did you make the threshold so high? I nearly fell to my death. Hey, something's wrong. Why is the floor so soft?" Fatty Ian subconsciously turned around to look at the man beneath him, then quickly scratched his head with a coy smile. Sorry. I didn't notice. Sorry." Fatty Ian hurriedly stood up from the man's body, then glanced at the snowy room, then at Yizichin and company, who were on the floor. "What's going on? Even Liha Garden's house can be artificially snowed? You guys are having a snowball fight and you even vomited blood?" He quickly ran to Yizichin's side, grabbed Yizichin's arm, and subtly transferred celestial spiritual energy into Yizichin's body. "Bro, do you want me to call an ambulance for you or something?" However, what surprised the fatty was that his celestial spiritual energy was actually unable to enter Yizichin's body. How is this possible? How is this possible? How is this possible? Yizichin, who was on the floor, muttered softly, then roared. Then, he looked up. At that moment, his hair had already turned completely blood-red, his eyes were like blood, while his skin had also turned a dark bronze color. Bang! A pair of pitch-black wings unfurled from Yizichin's back. Everyone in the room was shocked by this scene. Fatty Ian even murmured in panic. Chapter 332. Chapter 332. Fallen, how is this possible? Yizichin stood up from the ground with lifeless eyes, while the wings on his back continuously flapped, causing the decorations in the room to scatter. As for him, how is this possible? Zoom. Yizichin looked up. He stared straight at the man in front of him. At that moment, he no longer had the ability to think, and could only instinctively know that he was going to defeat this man. Fallen. Ha, fallen. The man laughed maniacally. I didn't think that I and that weak woman could actually give birth to a fallen. Ha, bang. Yizichin's laughter stopped. Yizichin's fist landed mercilessly on the man's stomach. Then, he continued to throw punches towards the man's stomach. Suppress. It was a complete suppression. At that moment, the man, who was beaten to the point of coughing up blood by Yizichin, could only defend himself, and was unable to fight back at all. Despite that, he still laughed excitedly. As expected of the highest-level bloodline of the demon race. It truly is so strong that it's exciting. Dong. A kick landed on the man's body, and the man slammed into the wall, causing it to crack. He coughed up large mouthfuls of blood, but he still smiled in anticipation. My good son, come with Daddy. Don't stay in a small place like the modern realm. It will only bury your fallen talent. What he received was a merciless punch. My good son, bang. Yizichin punched again. Only then did the man notice that Yizichin's eyes were lifeless. At that moment, he did not have any ability to think at all. All of his actions were merely driven by instinct, like how a beast needed to hunt for food. Lost your mind? Heh. So useless. The man suddenly snorted coldly. Not long later, his hair and eyes also turned blood-red, while his skin turned even darker than Yizichin's. A nauseating wave of spiritual energy emanated from his body. Fatty Yin's eyes were tightly shut as he stared at the two people in the distance. He didn't move for a long time. Trash is trash. I thought you could awaken into a fallen, but your mind was devoured, the man cursed angrily. 2 black balls of energy appeared in his hands. It seems like I thought too much. How could I give birth to a pure fallen with that stupid woman? Die. The 2 balls of light in his hands merged into one. A ball of light no more than a centimeter in diameter shot towards Yi Zichen in a straight line. He raised his hand. The instant Yi Zichen looked up, the cold smile on the man's face became even more obvious. He actually wanted to grab the energy bomb with his bare hand. That was a concentrated energy bomb. Even if a worldly immortal expert tried to grab it with his bare hands, he would be blasted apart by the energy bomb. Fatty Yin, who was standing in front of the door, roared as his eyes widened in shock. Don't, however, Yi Zichen was unable to hear him at all. He merely reached forward. The smile on the man's face became more and more cruel, but in the blink of an eye, it became dull. The energy ball did not explode. Yi Zichen grabbed the energy ball with one hand, then glanced at it with a hint of curiosity in his eyes, then directly tossed it into his mouth. Impossible! The man shook his head violently. No one could devour the energy bullets released by others. Even if an extremely powerful person could catch the energy bomb, they would not be able to digest the energy bomb, much less digest it so easily. However, the truth was right in front of him. After the energy bullet entered his mouth, Yi Zichen's skin became even more lustrous. Burp. Yi Zichen let out a comfortable burp, then reached out his hand like a child who got his favorite candy. It was as if he was saying, "Give me a few more." This is impossible. The man was no longer as calm as before. He shook his head, while a pile of energy bombs appeared beside him. So. Yi Zichen chucked the energy bombs over without any hesitation, and Yi Zichen caught all of them. Tossed them into his mouth. Digest. This. Yi Zichen's eyes twitched, then he burped once again. He licked his faint purple lips with his scarlet tongue. Bang. Yi Zichen smashed his fist onto the man's chest. Crack. The man's chest instantly caved in, while blood uncontrollably spurted out from his mouth. The purplish-red blood became extremely eye-catching on the snowy ground. Bang. 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 Yi Zichen threw punch after punch. At that moment, the man was unable to resist at all. If Yi Zichen wanted to, he could have shattered the man's head with one punch. But he didn't. He merely swung his fist around the man's body, as if the man was his beloved toy, and he didn't want to torture the man to a pulp so quickly. 10-odd minutes passed. The man's arms and legs were already shattered, while his chest was completely caved in. Logically speaking, a normal person like that should have died countless times already. However, the man's eyes continued to stare at Yi Zichen, while his eyes were filled with shock. Yi Zichen, that's enough. Fatty Yin squinted his eyes and walked over. Yi Zichen turned his head stiffly and looked at him emotionlessly. Gulp. He secretly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The lethality of this gaze was too great. Could this be a fallen? But didn't the demon race already go extinct? Also, that man should also be a descendant of the demon race. F***ck. He, the Fat Lord, had never fought against a Skyfall before. Looking at his emotionless eyes, he couldn't help but think. Fatty Yin licked his lips, then retreated with a coy smile. At the same time, he pointed at the man who was about to be beaten up. Please continue. He nodded and bowed as he retreated. Soon after, his expression turned grave. God knows whether Yi Zichen will walk out of his fallen state. If he continues to maintain his current state. Ice Empress, how much longer do you need to heal your body? Hurry up and freeze him. I'm already trying my best. Lulu frowned and replied with a solemn expression. What do you think I should do? Laozi has never encountered this sort of situation before. Fatty Yin said speechlessly. Yi Zichen's original body is a normal person. It should be because he has the demon race's bloodline in his body that was activated through some sort of method. Since his original body isn't a demon, then he can be awakened. But he needs someone deep in his heart to be awakened. Lu frowned. Deep in his heart? Then I, Lord Fatty, can't do it anymore. He looked like he wanted to eat me just now. How about you try? Aren't you getting along pretty well with him? Fatty Een replied. I'm not that confident. Lu smiled wryly. I don't want to cause trouble. Then what do you think we should do? Fatty Een was speechless. Yi Zichen tilted his head and looked at his beloved toy on the ground. Then, he set his gaze onto the man's head. He waved his hand. Slap. A white hand grasped his arm. Chapter 333. Nobody's wrong. Her gentle voice caused Yi Zichen's expression to freeze. He looked at the woman in front of him in confusion, then a single, blood-red tear suddenly flowed out of his eye. Mom, you're tired, take a rest. Yi Rong caressed his hair gently. Yi Zichen's pupils twitched as tears welled up in his eyes. The blood-red hair and pupils gradually returned to their original color, and the bronze skin also gradually returned to normal. Yi Zichen fell into Yi Rong's arms as a sense of powerlessness washed over him. Why did you come to the capital? The man squinted his eyes and asked. Yi Rong smiled faintly, then glanced at Yi Zichen, who'd been beaten into a meat patty by Yi Zichen. If I were you, I'd run as fast as I can. If I hadn't come, you would have been dead. Ridiculous. The man had an insolent look on his face as he said, Now that our trash of a son has lost his power as a fallen under your call, now who can stop me? I suggest that you scram before my body recovers. Really? Bang. Yi Rong's body instantly shone with a blinding holy light. She, who was hugging Yi Zichen, looked like an untainted angel as she smiled at the man on the ground. Do you think you? Can you be my opponent? You? The man looked at the scene in front of him in shock. The corners of his mouth wriggled, and his lips muttered a few words. A pitch-black wormhole appeared in front of him. At the same time, his body was gradually sucked into the wormhole. Before entering the wormhole, he suddenly laughed sinisterly. You actually managed to summon my good son from the fallen heavens. It seemed that the relationship between the two of you was quite deep. However, this was even better. With this first experience, it would be much easier for him to control the Skyfall in the future. I won't leave such a treasure to you. Scram, before I change my mind. The holy light on Yi Rong's body flourished, and the man's pupils shrank violently. He burrowed into the wormhole, but his cold laughter echoed in the room. I will snatch this kid away. Whoosh. The wormhole disappeared. Everyone in the room stared blankly at the scene in front of them. It was almost as if they were filming a blockbuster. One moment, he had wings, and the next moment, his body was glowing. The special effects were comparable to Hollywood. Are you Zichen's friends? Yi Rong carried Yi Zichen in front of Gu Tian and company and placed her hand on Lu's shoulder. Lu, who was trying her best to repair the damage to her avatar, instantly recovered. Avatar, I hope to see your real body when I have the time. Mother Yi smiled faintly, then glanced at Fatty Een. Two souls. Taking over someone else's body isn't a good habit. Lu and Fatty Yin's faces were filled with shock. Afterwards, Yi Rong turned her gaze towards Gu Tian. Are you third brother's child? Aunt. Gu Tian puckered his lips and spoke in a probing manner. Yi Rong smiled brightly, and then she rubbed his head and said, Good boy, you really look exactly like your father. Back then, it was your father who stood up to stop the old man's decision. Auntie, my father has always missed you. He said that you were the best to him when he was young. That's right. Your father and I were siblings in hardship. Yi Rong smiled softly. At that very moment, Hualihua struggled to stand up from the ground. When she saw everything in the room as well as the Sir, who had already disappeared, it seems like you guys have other things to deal with, so I won't disturb you any longer. Zichen is tired, I'm going to take him back to rest. Yi Rong slowly left the room with Yi Zichen in her arms. Everyone in the room looked at their backs in shock, then set their gazes upon Hualihua. How is this possible? Yi Zichen, who was lying on the bed, suddenly sat up with a shout. He looked around in confusion, then noticed that he was no longer in Linha Garden. Fragments of memories began to surface in his mind. It was as if he had grown wings when he was in Linha Garden. He was very strong, strong enough to beat that man into a meat patty. At the very end, Mother Yi seemed to have come as well. Yi Zichen raised his hand to hold his aching head. At the same time, the door to the room was pushed open, and Yi Rong walked in with a basin and a towel. Zichen, you woke up. Mother Ye's tone had always been so gentle. Yi Zichen looked up at her gentle smile. Mom, why did you come? You've always been so careless, how could I not worry about leaving you outside by yourself? Mother Yi smiled gently, then touched his forehead with a nod. It's not burning anymore. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and frowned as he looked at his mother's gentle smile. At that moment, he had too many things he wanted to ask. I know you want to ask a lot, but don't, okay? Mother Yi said with a pleading expression. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth and nodded. Then can you tell me one thing, that man? He's not wrong. Mother Yi smiled faintly, while her tone was filled with forgiveness. None of this is his fault. Perhaps our marriage itself was a mistake. This isn't your grandpa's fault either. Abandoning me for the family was the right choice. Then you admit that I'm a member of the Gu family now, right? Yi Zichen smiled sadly. Actually, you already had a plan in your heart, didn't you? Mother Yi smiled faintly. She stood up from the bed and opened the curtains. Looking at the cars coming and going outside, she chuckled and said, As for whether you're a member of the Gu family or not, it's up to you to judge. If you want to, then you are. If you don't want to, so what if I say yes? I only know that my surname is Yi. Yi Zichen's expression was filled with indescribable certainty. He didn't have any good feelings towards the Gu family, even if Mother Yi was tolerant towards them and found excuses for them. But a fact was a fact. No matter what they said, Mother Yi had also become a sacrifice for the family and followed such a man. Then we'll be surnamed Yi. Mother Yi turned around and smiled gently. Actually, I like the surname Yi. When I left the Gu family and was given this surname, I fell in love with it. Creak. Yi Zichen clenched his fist tightly. He could feel just how miserable Mother Ye's heart was when she said that. Not only did she become a sacrifice for the family, she was even stripped of her surname. She had to endure the humiliation of being with a strange man. Gu family! Yi Zichen frowned. Mother Yi suddenly turned around with a smile. Don't think about getting revenge for me. There's no need. I've already gotten over it after so long. What about you? I didn't think that you would actually run into someone from the Gu family. I came to the capital this time to help Gu Tian fight for the position of the junior family head. Yi Zichen nodded. Junior family head, huh? Chapter 334. Son of a saint and a demon. Yi Rong clearly wanted to say something when she mentioned the junior family head. What's wrong with helping Gu Tian get the position of the junior family head? Yi Zichen frowned in confusion. Hearing that, Yi Rong's expression froze, then she shook her head with a faint smile. Nothing, helping him get the position of the junior family head is a good thing. But, Mommy wants to ask you, if you become the junior family head, what would you choose? Me as the junior family head? Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows and wanted to sit up against the pillow. However, he noticed that he couldn't use any strength at all, and could only lay limply on the bed. Your previous actions put too much of a burden on your body. You need to rest now. Yi Rong rubbed his head gently. Yi Zichen did not believe it, so he struggled to get up, but found that he didn't even have the strength to lift his hands. Is it because I turned into that guy with wings? Yi Zichen frowned, while his heart was filled with confusion. Why did a pair of wings grow out from his back? He wasn't Li Zhenzi. Try not to be blinded by hatred in the future. You have to look past everything. Are you afraid that I'll become like that again? Yi Zichen asked helplessly. You should know something, right? Why did I become like that? I couldn't control my emotions and body in that state. I didn't even have the most basic awareness. Mommy can't tell you in detail. It's all Mommy's fault. If it wasn't for me. A wry smile surfaced in Yi Rong's eyes. 20 years ago. Wah! A cry pierced through the air. It came from within a ruined temple. A woman sat limply in the ruined temple. Apart from her, there was also a baby that had just descended into the world. Baby. The woman struggled to sit up on the straw mat, but when she saw the child in front of her, the child was bathed in pure sacred light, making him seem like a saint. Not long later, a group of animals ran into the temple. The animals stopped when they were around a meter away from the child, and laid down obediently on the ground with a look of enjoyment in their eyes. He inherited my bloodline. The woman caressed the baby's head with a gentle smile. The woman gently smiled and stroked the baby's head. But not long after, the baby's cries gradually became softer and softer. Even his breathing became weak. Baby! The woman's face was filled with horror. She kept shaking the baby in her arms. She tried everything she could to make him cry again, but the baby just wouldn't let out a single cry. His entire face gradually turned purple. The animals in the room also gathered around, their eyes filled with concern for the baby. What a pity! An old man suddenly appeared in the temple. He shook his head and looked at the child in the woman's arms. He sighed. He should have been a saint, but his bloodline is too impure. The old man shook his head and sighed. Miss, your man is a demon, right? The woman's expression froze. Soon after, a trace of fear appeared on her face. Master, what should I do? I don't want my child to die like this. The old man shook his head as he murmured, the union between a saint and a demon is wrong. It's strange that this child was born. My suggestion is to abandon this child. What a pity! What a pity! No. I won't give up my child. The woman shook her head forcefully. She hugged the baby in her arms tightly and watched as his face turned redder and redder. Actually, you can save him if you want. However, it's very likely that if you do that, his existence will endanger the balance of the 3 realms and even the 6 realms. If you really do that, he'll bear endless sin. Are you sure you want this child to bear it? The old man's aged eyes did not waver. The woman glanced at the old man, then lowered her head to look at the child in her arms. I only want my child to live. As for the sin in the future, as a mother, I'll bear it for him. It's not as simple as you make it out to be. The old man let out a long sigh and said, Forget it, it's fate that we met. Since you want to save him, and I don't want to see a holy son perish after a brief moment, I'll give you an opportunity. A few minutes later, the old man shook his head and left. The woman in the run-down temple hesitated for a long time. Then, a hint of madness appeared in her eyes. She reached into her robes and took out a small glass bottle. The moment the cork was opened, the animals in the dilapidated temple quickly escaped as if they were frightened. Inside the glass bottle was a drop of purplish-red blood. The blood contained a terrifying pressure. Baby, hate mommy. The blood in the bottle dripped into the baby's mouth. In an instant, the baby's body turned bronze. At the same time, blood-red hair grew out of his body, and a pair of small wings sprouted from his back. A beam of blood-red light mixed with holiness shot into the sky. In the next moment, the baby began to cry loudly. Sigh, poor woman, poor child. The son of a saint and a demon, this is a great sin. The old man who had just walked out of the temple turned around and looked at the blood-red light that shot into the sky. He shook his head calmly. I'll be a good person to the end. The future depends on you. A huge handprint shot into the sky. The blood-red light was instantly suppressed by the handprint until it completely dissipated. The woman in the ruined temple bit her lips tightly, put the child on the straw mat, knelt on the ground, and kowtowed 3 times to the back of the old man outside the ruined temple. Then, he picked up the child and quickly disappeared from the ruined temple. "Mom, Mom!" Yi Zichen, who was lying on the bed, frowned and called out. Only then did Yi Rong, who was beside the bed, return to her senses. "What happened?" "I'm fine." "What's wrong with you? You suddenly stopped talking in the middle of your sentence. You couldn't hear me even if I called you. Did you think of something? Can you tell me?" "I don't know anything." "What's the use of knowing so much?" Yi Rong raised her hand and rubbed his hair, saying, "Just stay in the hospital and rest. That's enough. You're definitely hiding something from me. What's there to hide between us?" "Really?" Yi Zichen twitched his mouth in annoyance. He had felt bad about hiding some things from Mother Yi before. From the looks of it now, Mother Yi did hide quite a bit from him. For example, the Gu family. Only now did he find out that her real name was actually Gu Rong, the young lady of the former head of a hidden family in the capital. "You brat, you actually dare to say bad things about Mom?" Yi Rong raised her hand and knocked him on the head. Yi Zichen instantly acted like an obedient child and smiled. All right. Chapter 335. Go to the Gu family, Mom was just asking casually. Yi Rong smiled faintly, then shrugged. "If Mom hadn't left the Gu family, then you might have gotten involved in the fight for the junior family head. If I hadn't left the Gu family, you might have been involved in the fight for the position of young family head." Yi Zichen smiled. "If Mom hadn't left the Gu family, then you might have gotten involved in the fight for the junior family head. I was more or less curious about your thoughts, so I just asked." Yi Zichen smiled. "So it's like that. Then if I can become the junior family head, I will." "What will you do?" Yi Rong smiled gently. "Destroy the Gu family." Yi Zichen's expression suddenly turned cold, while his cold eyes carried a chilling coldness. "Why did you make such a choice?" Yi Rong's smile froze, but she still asked calmly. "There's no need for this kind of sick family to exist." Yi Zichen's eyes were filled with disdain. "I once heard that the Gu family was the leader of the hidden families. But now, it's merely a second-rate family. Perhaps the family's decline is due to the fact that they can't recruit a deity. However, it cannot be denied that the family's managers are useless. More importantly, they've treated you as a sacrificial lamb. If I become the junior family head, then what I have to do is destroy it." The resentment in his eyes was not concealed at all. Yi Rong sighed softly and raised her hand to stroke his hair. "Mom said that no one is wrong." "I'm not commenting on who's right or wrong," Yi Zichen smiled. "Didn't you say that you were just asking casually?" "I'm just asking casually. It's impossible for me to become the junior family head of the Gu family, so of course, I won't destroy the Gu family." "That's true," Yi Rong smiled faintly. Yi Rong smiled, then rubbed Yi Zichen's hair and covered him with the blanket. "Rest well, don't think so much. Mom only needs you, and that's enough." Yi Rong left the room with a smile. After walking out of the ward, Yi Rong leaned against the door with a bitter smile on her face. "Lil Rong, do you blame me?" The room was filled with suffocating smoke. The man who sat on the sofa had a troubled expression and white hair. "As the big sister, what's there to blame? Isn't it my duty to take care of my little brother and sister?" At that time, Yi Rong was still a young and beautiful girl. She was dressed like a saintess and had a clear smile on her face. She looked at the white hair of the man on the sofa. Just the day before, his hair was still black. "Originally, you were the hope of our Gu family for the next 100 or even 1,000 years, but the people of the demon race, I, as your father, was too weak." The man extinguished the cigarette in his hand in the ashtray. His aged face was filled with helplessness and reluctance. His bloodshot eyes flickered. "Sorry?" "It's all right." Yi Rong shook her head. "After you get together with Tuoba Yi, you must give birth to a son for the Gu clan. If the child inherits your bloodline, then bring the child back, and you will inherit the position of clan leader. In the future, when the child grows up, he will lead the Gu family back to the three realms. If it's Tuoba Ye's devil race bloodline, kill him. At that time, when you return to the clan, you will still be my daughter." A ruthless look appeared on the old man's face. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fist. "The demon race is the common enemy of the three realms. I cannot tolerate the birth of a demon child in my family." "I understand." Yi Rong's face was filled with a gentle smile. The man's face turned pale when he saw her smile. "You're really like your mother. You're very gentle. I know you've shouldered too much, no need to say any more, I understand." Yi Rong's face was filled with a gentle smile. Yi Rong smiled faintly and took off her saintess clothes, revealing the black underwear she was wearing underneath. "From now on, my surname is no longer Gu. My surname is Yi. My name is Yi Rong, no longer Saintess Gu Rong." Yi Rong turned around gracefully and pushed open the door without any hesitation. Tuoba Yi stood outside with a feminine smile. He grabbed Yi Rong's chin and smiled towards the man in the room. 100 years. Geezer Gu, remember this. It is merely 100 years. Phew. All of a sudden, Yi Rong's eyes became wet. She let out a long sigh, rubbed her sore nose, then looked at Yi Zichen, who laid on the bed with a frown through the crack in the door. "Actually, I didn't go back on my words. This child isn't a demon. But he isn't a saint either. It must have been hard on you since I didn't return." 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. During that time, Yi Zichen's body gradually improved. At the very least, he could walk on the ground, but he was still unable to use his celestial spiritual energy. It was as if there was something in his body that was blocking the connection between him and the celestial spiritual energy. Along the way, Gu Tian and the others also came to visit him. Among this group of people was that annoying Qi Cheng. Needless to say, this woman really knew how to flatter Mama Yi. Mama Yi was very happy. He couldn't expose this woman's true colors in front of Mother Yi, so he could only secretly warn her not to go too far. In response, the woman merely smiled and continued to do as she pleased. "Auntie, my dad really wants to see you." A conversation sounded out from outside the ward. Yi Zichen, who was watching a video on his phone, chucked his phone to the side and looked up. Gu Tian and Mother Yi walked over side by side. Gu Tian had a pleading look on his face. "Don't say any more. I'll meet him when I want to. Didn't you have business with Zichen? You guys chat." Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows with a smile after Mother Yi sent Gu Tian to the ward. "Another failure?" "Yeah, I failed." Gu Tian shrugged helplessly. "Say, it's my fault for talking too much. I shouldn't have mentioned this to my dad. Great, he keeps nagging me the moment I get home. He even gave me a death order to get Auntie to agree." "You're calling her Auntie rather affectionately." Yi Zichen smiled playfully. "Come, call me Biaoji. It's fine if I call you Biaoji, but do you dare to agree? This Biaoji of mine is a troublemaker. If you really agree, then just wait to suffer." Gu Tian also smiled playfully. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. "Don't worry." Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. "Then try calling me that." "Biaogo." Slap. The moment Gu Tian finished, Yi Zichen smacked him on the head. "Just do it when I tell you to. Kid, why don't you have any opinions of your own? You want to be the Gu family's junior family head like this? How many times have I told you? You have to have a temper. Just now. Slap me and you'll pass." "You're really unreasonable. Do you think I can beat you?" It wasn't like he hadn't tried, but he was the one getting beaten up every single time. Later on, he learned his lesson and did whatever he was told to do. If he didn't do it, then it would just be a slap at most, but if he resisted, then it would be a good beating. "Z's. Look at your damn behavior." Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance, then spoke up. "Say it, what did you come to report to me this time?" Chapter 336. Is a false earth immortal very powerful? This was a bit different from what Yi Zichen had expected. He had thought that the hidden family, the Gu family, would be located in some deep forest. What he didn't expect was that the Gu family was just like the other secular families, sitting right in the middle of the bustling city. Outside the huge courtyard house, a few strong men stared at the surroundings vigilantly. Gu Tian stopped the car in front of the entrance. When the Hulk saw him, they all nodded slightly, then set their gazes onto Yi Zichen. "This is an honored guest that I've invited." The burly man guarding the door frowned slightly and spoke to the group of burly men in an indifferent tone. "Young master, you should know what kind of period the Gu family is in right now. It's not very good for you to bring a stranger to our Gu family. I've never heard that the election for the young patriarch doesn't allow for external help. Didn't my brothers find them as well?" Gu Tian's eyes narrowed as he swept them past. "What? Could it be that all of you want to look for trouble with me?" "Of course we wouldn't dare." The brawny man shook his head, then glanced at the sickly Yi Zichen. "But the other young masters have all found capable people. It seems like I've been mocked." Yi Zichen smiled faintly, then shrugged at the brawny men. "It's their business if they want to find capable people. It's also Gu Tian's choice to find a sickly general like me. If you are worried that strangers will pose a threat to the Gu family, then you should keep an eye on the people brought by the other brothers. If you were worried that the person Gu Tian found wouldn't be able to help him, then you should have let me in without even asking." "This." The robust man's expression froze, and Gu Tian's brows raised as well. "Cut the crap. Let them through. Let them pass." The burly man waved his hand and made way for them. Gu Tian and Yi Zichen returned to the car, which slowly drove into the courtyard. In the car, Yi Zichen noticed that the moment their car entered the courtyard, the Hulk guarding the door took out his phone, as if he was talking to someone. "Is the gatekeeper also someone else's man?" "Probably. I'm not too sure either." Gu Tian smiled lightly and shrugged. "The Gu clan seems to have been pretty much split up by those brothers of mine. No one can say for sure exactly who belongs to whom." "What a complicated family!" Yi Zichen raised the corner of his mouth and smiled. "Exactly." Gu Tian shrugged noncommittally. He parked the car in a courtyard and got out of the car. 3 old men walked out of the room. Yi Zichen had met one of the elders in Bingqing, Elder Hua. As for the other 2, when Yi Zichen saw their dark and unsmiling faces, he couldn't bring himself to like them at all. "Young Master Gu, do you know how tense the time has been recently? You're still running around recklessly." The old Taoist in green frowned, then set his gaze on the sickly Yi Zichen. "Who is this?" "I asked him to help." Gu Tian smiled. The old Taoist squinted his eyes, then asked in disdain, "He helped?" Gu Tian nodded. "Young Master Gu, although it's impossible for you to run for the position of the junior family head, you don't need to give up on yourself like this, right?" The white-shirt elder raised his eyebrows. "We old fellows are trying our best to find a way out for you. Even if we can't succeed, we can at least be on our own. But you, who does he think he is? Elderly, you better be more respectful." Gu Tian's expression suddenly turned dark. Gu Tian's expression suddenly became gloomy, and he said, "Apologize to Brother Yi. Otherwise, you can leave my place. I won't welcome you here anymore." "What did you say?" The white-shirt elder frowned. He looked at Gu Tian's determined eyes in shock, then laughed comically. "You want me to apologize to this sickly person? Who does he think he is? He actually wants this old man to apologize. Do you know how strong this old man is? I'm a mid-stage false earth immortal. Although he isn't very strong in the Gu family, he is still an elder. And who is this brat? He's so sick as if he's about to die. You want this old man to apologize to him? Hee. Yi Zichen suddenly pursed his lips and chuckled. He looked up at the old man. "Is false earth immortal very amazing?" A faint pressure spread out from his body. At that moment, he was unable to use celestial spiritual energy, but he could at least use his pressure. When the old man felt the pressure from Yi Zichen's body, his expression instantly turned green. "You're so old, but you're only a false earth immortal. You think you're so cocky? If I'm your age and haven't reached the sky immortal level, then I'd king kill myself with a piece of tofu." Elder Li pursed his lips tightly without saying anything. He clenched his teeth, then looked up at Gu Tian and Yi Zichen with a cold snort. "He's just a false earth immortal cultivator. He's just a false earth immortal cultivator. His talent is definitely not comparable to yours, Gu Tian. Even if he comes, he won't be able to turn the situation around. Alright, since little young master doesn't need this old man, then this old man will leave." Yi Zichen walked out of the courtyard without looking back. Meanwhile, the square-faced, azure-robed elder frowned. "Old Li, no need to persuade me. It's fine if I don't stay here. I'll be free even if I don't get involved in the junior family head election." The old man squinted his eyes darkly and looked towards Gu Tian. The old man narrowed his eyes gloomily and looked at Gu Tian's position. "Young master, sooner or later, you'll cry and beg me to come back. Take care, I won't be sending you off." However, Gu Tian didn't give him any face at all. Elder Li's expression froze, then he left angrily. Old Hua and the green-clothed elder let out a long sigh, before the green-clothed elder opened his mouth and said. Then, the azure-robed elder spoke up, "Little young master, it's a good thing that we're being strict with you. Old Li is also doing it for your. You want to say that it's for my own good?" Gu Tian squinted his eyes. "Did you know that my big bro sent him?" Gu Tian smiled faintly, then spoke up once again as he looked at the azure-robed elder's gradually stiffening face. "I don't know who sent Elder Wu, but you better tell the truth quickly. If I really find out, then my temper isn't very good." "Little young master, don't speak nonsense. How could this old man do something like that?" the azure-robed elder said frantically. "That's for the best," Gu Tian smiled. Elder Hua also squinted his eyes and walked beside Yi Zichen. "Little bro, I hope you can help young Master Gu with all your heart." Chapter 337. Clairvoyant Elder Hua's wizened face stiffened. Not long later, a playful smile flashed across his mouth. "You want to say that I won't support young Master Lil Tian with all my heart? This old man has followed young Master Lil Tian for 10-odd years. So what if it's 10-odd years? Have you seen undercover movies? Didn't those people hide for 10-odd years for the most important moment?" Yi Zichen snickered and twitched his mouth, then ignored the geezer. Instead, he turned to Gu Tian. "Find me a room to rest, I'm a bit tired." "All right." Gu Tian nodded, then left with Yi Zichen. Before he left, he even nodded towards Elder Hua to signal him not to mind it too much. Within the room, Yi Zichen sat on the sofa and took out a cigarette from his pocket. Gu Tian picked up the pack of cigarettes that Yi Zichen had chucked onto the tea table, then took out a cigarette and put it in his mouth. "Big brother Yi, Elder Hua is definitely a trustworthy person. You just came here, there's no need to be so paranoid, right? Are you complaining that I said bad things about that geezer?" Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows. "No." Gu Tian shook his head. "I know that Big Brother Yi is doing it for my own good, but I really couldn't imagine that Elder Hua was actually someone that someone sent to my side. If that really is the case, then that person is too scheming. That geezer is rebellious, he's clearly not an honest person." Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and looked around the room. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and glanced around the room. "Just your room. If you have time, get someone to investigate it. Someone might have already installed a listening device here." At the same time, within a certain room in the courtyard, the expression of a young man, who was wearing headphones, suddenly changed. He looked up in shock, took off his headphones, and shouted towards a dark corner of the room. "Remove all the listening devices from Gu Tian's side when you have time?" "What is it?" A confused voice sounded out from the dark corner. "The person he brought this time is very smart. He already noticed that we installed a listening device in his room. In order to not arouse that idiot Gu Tian's suspicions, it's best to remove all the devices as soon as possible in case we get exposed. Alright, no problem. Actually, there's nothing worth paying attention to this Gu Tian. The young man smiled and curled his lips. In terms of strength, he's the weakest among us brothers. When it comes to capturing ghosts, he's the worst. By the way, how's the matter I've arranged for you lately? It's already underway. We've already killed 3 clansmen of the hidden families. Their souls are now in our hands. Very good. You have to throw the blame on my brothers, understand? Understood. Yes, you should quickly leave this place. If others find out, then this game will be meaningless. With a faint smile, the young man stretched lazily before walking to the wheelchair beside him and sitting down. In a few days, I will be conferred the title of king. Gu Tian left after chatting with Yi Zichen for a bit longer. Yi Zichen stretched lazily, then returned to the city and laid down. Even though his body had gotten better, he still couldn't walk for a long time. Yi Zichen laid on the bed powerlessly, then exchanged a spring-returning pill from the treasure shop and popped it into his mouth. Then, he took out his phone and looked at his moment. What he was more concerned about was Su Yan's new post. The reason for persevering, that was all it said. Below it was a picture of a man and a woman from an anime. The man's back was facing the girl, but the girl was holding onto the corner of the man's shirt tightly. Yi Zichen didn't quite understand it, so he clicked a like below. After Yi Zichen finished looking through all the latest updates in his moments, he returned to the chat interface, and noticed that the Heavenly Quartz group was abnormally lively. Heavenly Soldier A. That damn child of mine is so disappointing. He actually got 10th from the bottom of the class in the exam this time. Heavenly Soldier B. Isn't it the same? That child of mine is so worrisome as well. Barefoot Immortal. Haha, you guys should be like me and convert to Buddhism and stop worrying about the mundane matters of the mortal world. Immortality Peach Fairy. Is Barefoot Immortal going to preach in the group again? How much did great deity Gautama pay you? Third Prince Neza. Bao Bao isn't getting married. If I do, I'll marry Immortality Peach Jejia, Immortality Peach Fairy. Immortality Peach Fairy, Shy. God of Thunder. Z's, from the looks of it, are you guys going to announce your relationship? Mother of Lightning. Let's set off firecrackers in advance. You have to invite us over when you set up the banquet. Third Prince Neza. Let's talk about it when I grow up. Immortality Peach Jejia. Can you wait for me? Immortality Peach Fairy. I don't think so. If there is a good person, then Jejia is going to get married. Third Prince Neza. Then I have to grow up faster. Immortality Peach Fairy. Then you have to grow up faster. What the hell is this? The third prince actually fell for a fairy from the Immortality Peach Garden? But weren't we talking about the children's studies just now? Why did he change the topic? Wind catching ears. Ha 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 ha. Immortality Peach Fairy. Why is great deity so happy? God of Thunder. I heard that his son got first in the exam, so he probably came to show off. Seriously, that disappointing son of mine. He got first from the bottom. Mother of Lightning, it's all your fault. Otherwise, would the child have no time to study if you took him to the female bathhouse every day? God of Thunder, why is it my fault? Mother of Lightning, it's all your fault. Wind catching ears. Everyone, stop arguing. Third Prince Neza. Uncle Wind catching ears, what did you come to this group for? Don't you need to patrol the South Heaven's Gate anymore? Wind catching ears. I told All-Seeing Eyes to keep an eye on it for me. All-Seeing Eyes. Barefoot Immortal. Then what did you come to the group for? To show off? Wind catching ears. Don't say it like that. As a father, I'm very happy that my child did well, so I prepared to spread some wealth in the group. Immortality Peach Fairy. Spread some wealth, spread some wealth. God of Thunder, I'm so envious. If my son can get first, then Lousy will also spread some wealth. Mother of Lightning. You actually have a private stash of money? God of thunder, wind catching ears, everyone, quiet down. Can you let me send a red packet in peace? Immortality Peach Fairy. Then send it, no one's stopping you. God Chajiao, yeah. Go ahead and send it to me. Wind catching ears. Seriously. Alright, red packet rain is coming, catch it. It wasn't the first time Yi Zichen snatched red packets in the Heavenly Courts group. The moment wind catching ears said to spread some wealth, he was already prepared to snatch red packet. Ding dong. Congratulations to my son for getting first in the exam. This wind catching ears' red packet. He even wanted to advertise the name of the red packet. It was as if he was afraid that others wouldn't know. Yi Zichen didn't have the time to care so much. F***ck. You received wind catching ears red packet. Wind catching ears X1. Look at how amazing I am at snatching red packet. I don't need to send it, it's even more useful than those support items. But it seems like the one I snatched just now was wind catching ears. No way, could I have snatched wind catching ears ear? Chapter 338. The ear of a swindler. Yi Zichen's hands trembled as he held his phone. Snatching red packets was one thing, but snatching ears was another. He had been in the Heavenly Courts group chat for quite some time now, but the things he snatched were always pills and talismans that he could use. What the hell was with snatching someone's ear? Could it be that his son had gotten first place in the exam, so he didn't want his ears anymore? This was truly a fatherly love. He did not look at the treasure chest immediately. If he really saw the bloody ear, he was afraid that he would have a nightmare. He subconsciously glanced at the messages in the group. Immortality Peach Fairy. I give you full marks for this wave of wealth. Third Prince Neza. This is nothing. God of Thunder. That's amazing. Mother of Lightning, I know. Barefoot Immortal. Are you giving away your wealth? Can you stop joking? My heart is weak, don't scare me. Yi Zichen was shocked when he saw the contents of the group. This group of people seemed to be complaining about the clairaudience red envelope. Even the heavenly soldiers in the group were no exception. What's so strange about this red packet? Scratching his head, he tapped open the red envelope to check on the other's luck. Immortality Peach Fairy received wind catching ears X1. Third Prince Neza received clairaudient X1. Heavenly Soldier A received clairaudient X1. There were a total of 100 red envelopes, and all of them were clairaudient X1. Yi Zichen was speechless. What was going on? The ear could be divided into 100 pieces? Didn't that mean that everyone here was fighting for the clairaudient ear fragment? Wind catching ears. Just a small token of my appreciation. If my child still gets first place in the midterm exam, I'll give everyone a big one. Immortality Peach Fairy. Great deity, when you're shameless, you're even worse than us fairies. Third Prince Neza. How dare you, God of Thunder. Hee hee, Mother of Lightning, hee hee. Barefoot Immortal. I really want to punch you. Do you believe me? Holy shit. Yi Zichen knitted his brows. Could it be that it wasn't his ears? But what was going on with this group of immortals? Why were they so agitated? As if I'd believe you. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth, then clicked on the WeChat treasure chest. When Yi Zichen saw the true appearance of the wind-catching ear in the treasure chest, he truly felt defeated by his own naivety. Like I said, how could it possibly come out of my ears? Lying in the treasure chest was a handwritten copy of the secret manual of Clairaudient. The deities must have received the same. But even so, the deities in the group should not have had such a big reaction. No matter what, Clairaudient was a good secret manual. It was very useful to be able to hear the conversations of people thousands of miles away. Ding dong. To withdraw this secret manual, you need to pay X300,000 cultivation experience. Do you want to continue? Does your child know how shameless you are? Yi Zichen really couldn't take it anymore. Did he come to spread his wealth or to collect it? To distribute the secret manual, one needed cultivation experience to extract it. It was no wonder that great immortal Barefoot said that. Even he wanted to punch the clairaudient right now. What did he think this was? An invitation to the graduation banquet, and everyone had to bring along a gift? The moment Yi Zichen popped up, everyone in the group exploded. After chatting for a while, everyone started to condemn Nian Shunfeng for being shameless. Clairaudient, why did you have such a big reaction? Withdrawing only 200,000 cultivation experience, is that a lot for you guys? Immortality Peach Fairy. Do you think it's a lot or not? How could little deities like us have so much cultivation experience? Even Sky Sovereign Nameless said that you were shameless. TSK, seriously, I look down on you. Great Immortal Barefoot. Clairaudient, it's not that we're scolding you. The main thing is that this secret manual of yours isn't that useful to us deities. Clairaudient, mine is a handwritten copy. Yi Zichen, who was about to join in the condemnation, suddenly stopped. A handwritten copy, if that's the case, then it really is a huge gift. Perhaps it isn't too useful to the deities in the heavenly court. However, it is extremely useful to Yi Zichen. To withdraw this secret manual, you need to pay 300,000 cultivation experience. Do you want to continue? Continue. Ding dong. You have learned the handwritten secret manual of Clairaudient. All of a sudden, Yi Zichen felt that his ears had become much more sensitive, but at the same time, F***ck, Yi Zichen covered his ears. At that moment, his ears were filled with all sorts of strange sounds. The car horns outside, the children's noises, everything seemed to be happening right next to his ears. At the same time, Clairaudient, who was being condemned by the group members, suddenly posted a screenshot. Look, even Sky Sovereign supported it. It means that our treasure is worth it. The moment he sent the message, the people in the group couldn't help but twitch their mouths and mock him for saying that the screenshot was fake. Clairaudient. Yi Zichen endured the pain in his ears and directly sent him a friend request. Clairaudient, who was arguing with the deities in the group, was stunned when he saw the friend request. Why did someone of such a high level like Sky Sovereign add me as a friend? Could it be that he wants his cultivation experience back? If that's the case, cultivation experience is so hard to earn in this world. Even if this person is Sky Sovereign, I don't want to return it. But if I don't add him, then I can forget about staying in the heavenly court. Although I'm a great deity, I'm just a gatekeeper for the South Heaven Gate. No matter how amazing I am, I can't be more amazing than Sky Sovereign Nameless, who lives with Tai by jinxing. Confirm. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth and accepted the friend request, but he did not send it. If Sky Sovereign doesn't say anything, then I won't say anything. Brat, stop blabbering in the group. Hurry up and tell me, how can Clairaudient stop him from hearing the sounds of the outside world? Yi Zichen was truly tortured to death by his ears. The only reason he was able to send a message to Clairaudient was through sheer willpower. Sky Sovereign doesn't know how to use it? Clairaudient was a bit stunned. His cultivation technique could be said to be of a rather low level among cultivation technique. Sky Sovereign should have seen the cultivation techniques of saints. Why is he asking me about this sort of minor cultivation technique? I don't know, hurry up and say it. The noises in his ears became louder and louder, and even his eardrums started to bleed. At that moment, Yi Zichen was already on the verge of breaking down. Just use celestial spiritual energy to block off the position of your ears. Then, use celestial spiritual energy to open it up when you want to use it. Actually, this was similar to using the fiery eyes of truth, but celestial spiritual energy. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth and threw his phone away in disappointment. He was unable to use celestial spiritual energy at all. Doesn't that mean that I can't turn off Clairaudient at all? I can only buzz. A huge roar suddenly sounded out in his ears, as if a car accident had happened not far away from him. All of this caused a huge burden on Yi Zichen's ears. Creak. At that moment the door to the room was pushed open. The person who walked in was Fatty Yin, who had two souls in his body. However, this time, he did not smile mischievously. Instead, he walked over with a faint smile. Chapter 339. Ghoulie Fatty. Yizichin opened his eyes wide. This is not a hotel outside, this is the capital's Goo household. Not just anyone can enter. The fatty actually appeared here, and from his tone, "Can't you just let me be a bit more careful?" A faint smile surfaced on Fatty Yin's face. He walked beside Yizichin and pressed his hand on Yizichin's head. A wave of pure celestial spiritual energy was released from his palm and drilled into his head. Puny demonic energy wants to obstruct this sovereign's celestial spiritual energy? The fatty sneered, then pressed his hand down on Yizichin's head. Yizichin coughed up a mouthful of purplish-red blood. The moment the blood landed on the floor, it immediately turned into charcoal. Then, the rumbling in his ears disappeared. Yizichin let out a long sigh. Just now, he thought that he would be killed by the clairaudient. Just let me be a bit more careful in the future, okay? Fatty rolled his eyes in annoyance. He glanced at the smelly black floor, then raised his eyebrows and covered his nose. This stench, how did you come to the Goo household? Yizichin picked his ear. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with it, he looked up at Fatty Yin. Fatty pursed his lips and shrugged. I, Lord Fatty, come whenever I want. I, Lord Fatty, can come whenever I want. As for how I came in naturally, I walked in normally. The Goo family didn't stop you? Yizichin asked in confusion. Fatty Yin suddenly disappeared from the room, then reappeared after a while. Do you understand now? I, Lord Fatty, come and go whenever I want. The puny Goo family is nothing to me. I've always been suspicious of your identity. Just who are you? This Fatty is truly too mysterious. From his endless methods, this Fatty is definitely not a normal person. Of course, someone with two souls is naturally not a normal person. But what is his true identity? Why does he have to protect me? Could he be someone from the immortal region of the three realms? Lord Fatty isn't going to tell you, Fatty Yin smiled. Try it. You should be able to use celestial spiritual energy now. Fiery eyes of truth, activate. Yizichin muttered silently to himself. Then, his eyes lit up with a faint golden light. It could really be used. Suddenly, he ran to the door of the room. Who is it? The door was suddenly pushed open. Outside the door was a boy wearing a black frame in a wheelchair. The boy's timid face carried a hint of fear, as if he was frightened. He gripped the armrests of the wheelchair tightly, then nodded towards Yizichin and Fatty Yin in the room. Hello. Okay? Kid, don't pretend in front of me. You had fun eavesdropping just now, didn't you? Yizichin smiled. What? Did you come to spy on us? Behind them, the corners of Fatty Yin's mouth rose slightly. His vigilance was not bad. However, the boy looked confused and said, What are you talking about? Eavesdropping? You're pretending. Yizichin smiled meaningfully. I think you must have misunderstood. The boy smiled warmly. Let me introduce myself. I am the youngest young master of the Goo family, Ghoulie. I was just taking a stroll just now and happened to pass by you guys. As for spying on us, look at me. I don't have any intentions of fighting for the position of junior family head. You should be a lord that one of my older brothers invited, right? Keep pretending. Yizichin smiled. He squinted his eyes and walked towards the boy, then kicked the boy's wheelchair. You clearly have no problems with your legs. Why are you sitting in a wheelchair? What are you doing? To everyone's surprise, Ghoulie lay stiffly on the ground, his face filled with terror. His legs also did not move at all, as if he had no feeling in them. Yizichin's commotion instantly attracted quite a few people, including Gu Tian. Big brother Yi, what? Little brother. Gu Tian quickly rushed in front of Ghoulie, floated the wheelchair on the ground, and carried him onto it. Why aren't you more careful? Tianji, are these two your friends? This big bro said that I was eavesdropping on them outside the door. I said that I didn't, so he kicked me down. He even said that there's nothing wrong with my legs. Ha, I also hope that there's nothing wrong with my legs. That way I can. Ghoulie smiled wryly in self-mockery. Then, he started to blame himself. Should I not have come here? Should I not have come here? Brother Tian's friend misunderstood. You didn't do anything wrong. Gu Tian rubbed Ghoulie's hair, then called out with a frown. Big brother Yi! What? Yi Zichen looked up plainly. I want to ask you what's going on. Why have you been so nervous ever since you came to the Gu family? Gu Tian's brows were tightly knitted together as he said. He's my lil bro. His legs were heavily injured when he was young. Also, he didn't participate in the junior family head election at all. Why? Just why are you doing this? Yi Zichen's expression was completely calm. He was completely certain that there was nothing wrong with the legs of the little fellow in front of him at all. Just now, the brat was indeed eavesdropping in front of his door. That was an indisputable fact. You don't believe me? Yi Zichen smiled faintly. I don't care who this brat is. He was eavesdropping in front of my door just now. Otherwise, why would he come here? Gu Tian, don't forget what I said to you. This is the junior family head election. Don't be too naive, all right? Am I too naive, or is Big Brother Yi too complicated? Gu Tian shouted with a frown. Tianji, don't get angry at this big brother. You invited him over to help you in the junior family head election, so we have to treat him with respect. It's true that it's my fault for coming over during this sort of critical time. But, actually, I just wanted to play with you. Ghoulie maintained his apologetic expression the entire time, but his words betrayed his own grievance. Yi Zichen's cold smile became more and more obvious. You said that you came for a walk just now, and now you came to play with Gu Tian? Big brother Yi. Gu Tian frowned. Hee. Yi Zichen smiled faintly. A faint smile surfaced on Yi Zichen's face. He walked in front of Ghoulie and placed his hand on Ghoulie's shoulder, then looked at Gu Tian with a smile. Chapter 340. Falling out. Yi Zichen smiled confidently. He'd already made up his mind. Regardless of whether Gu Tian agreed or not, he had to give Ghoulie acupuncture treatment. Brother Yi. Gu Tian's expression became more and more unsightly. Ghoulie was the youngest brother of their group of brothers. In addition, he had always been very concerned about this little brother of his. Brother Tian, let this big brother give it a try. I really want to stand up, really. I want to try. Ghoulie pursed his lips and chuckled, while a hint of longing remained in his eyes. If it weren't for the fact that he didn't have the great sage's fiery eyes of truth, Yi Zichen thought he might have been tricked by the child. Those pitiful eyes, and those perfect words, not becoming a movie star is really a loss for the film industry. Did you hear that? Since this little friend has said so, why don't you let me try? Yi Zichen smiled faintly, then returned to his room and bought a box of silver needles from the treasure shop. Chinese medicine? Gu Tian frowned slightly. His impression of Chinese doctors were all old men with white beards. More importantly, according to his understanding, Yi Zichen should have studied veterinary medicine in school. Will there be any problems? Are you questioning my medical skills? I'm very famous in Bingqing. As soon as he finished speaking, he took out a silver needle from the box. Gu Tian grabbed Yi Zichen's arm with force, then squinted his eyes with a frown. Big brother Yi, don't go too far. Traditional Chinese medicine isn't a joke. It's fine if you don't make it and bleed, but if you poke the wrong spot, don't stop me. I really don't have a good temper. Yi Zichen's expression suddenly turned cold. What he had to do next was to make Gu Tian look down on this child's true colors, so that he would be alerted. However, he continued to stop him, which made Yi Zichen rather annoyed. Tianji, let Big Brother Yi try. Ghoulie comforted. I believe in Big Brother Yi's strength. Little friend, you have good eyesight. Yi Zichen smiled playfully, then his eyes flashed with faint mockery. He's so good at deceiving people. If I don't let him have some fun, it would be a little unfair to him. It might be a little painful and itchy. You have to bear with it. Alright. You can't feel your legs, so you shouldn't have any reaction. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes, then quickly inserted the silver needles into various acupoints on Gu Tian's body. This acupuncture point was indeed targeted at the lower limbs. If someone really had leg problems, they would be tested for the real cause of the problem. But if he didn't, then he wouldn't feel so good. Yi Zichen intentionally left an extremely strong aura on the silver needles with this energy. It wouldn't be a problem to torture this kid for a few hours. Alright, if you can't take it anymore, then say something. Just because you called me Big Brother Yi, I can't watch you suffer. Yi Zichen smiled indifferently. Hearing that, Gu Li nodded. Alright, thank you Big Brother Yi. 5 minutes passed in the blink of an eye. Under normal circumstances, Gu Li should be feeling as uncomfortable as a million ants crawling on his legs. However, his expression did not change at all. From the beginning to the end, his eyes maintained a faint look of anticipation. Big Brother Yi, I don't feel anything at all. Is it because I'm hopeless? Wait. Yi Zichen frowned. 10 minutes passed. 20 minutes passed. Half an hour passed. Gu Li's expression did not change at all. Halfway through, Yi Zichen suspected that he had inserted the wrong acupuncture point, then went up to confirm it. The acupuncture point was correct, but Gu Li's body did not react at all. All of a sudden, a chill ran down Yi Zichen's spine. If this brat had been enduring it the entire time, then it was very hard to imagine just how good he was at enduring it. He will definitely be huge trouble in the future. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes and stared at Gu Li. Since he could endure it for half an hour, then he could endure it for an hour or even longer. At that moment, he was like Go Jian back then. He could give up everything for his goal. This sort of person was actually the scariest. Yi Zichen pulled out the silver needles from Gu Li's body, then revealed a hint of disappointment on Gu Li's youthful face. Can't I? The moment Yi Zichen pulled out the silver needles, he kicked Gu Li's wheelchair over once again. You really know how to act, brat. Since you like wheelchairs so much, then lousy will King fulfill your wish. Crack. Yi Zichen stepped on Gu Li's calf, causing the clear sound of bones breaking to be heard. However, from start to finish, Gu Li's face merely had a faint look of confusion, and did not show any signs of pain. When Yi Zichen saw this, he was truly convinced. He can even endure this. Yi Zichen, that's enough. Gu Tian, who had already clenched his fists tightly, suddenly charged over. He asked about Gu Li's situation worriedly, then called someone over to send Gu Li to the hospital. Gu Tian's angry push caused Yi Zichen to stumble. What are you doing? Yi Zichen frowned. Gu Tian opened his eyes wide and cursed. I want to know what you're doing. Lil Li's leg already has problems. What are you doing? He's pretending. I'm helping you, brat. Do you know that he has been enduring it the entire time? Do you know just how dangerous a person like this is? When he truly gets ready to bare his fangs, it's even possible for him to swallow you whole. Yi Zichen cursed. Can you wake up? Big Brother Yi, I'm going to call you Big Brother Yi again. Ever since you came to the Gu family, you have been picking on the people around me, and saying that you're going to help me. But why do I feel like you care even more about me becoming the junior family head than me? Gu Tian's mouth was filled with mockery. He walked in front of Yi Zichen and said firmly, I'm the one running for junior family head. Whether I can become the junior family head or not is also my problem. This has nothing to do with you, I'm just asking you for help. Yi Zichen suddenly laughed when he heard Gu Tian's words. He nodded, then shrugged with a smile. I understand what you mean. Actually, I'm not. Gu Tian also felt that his words were a bit too serious. He wanted to make up for it, but he saw Yi Zichen merely raise his head and smile with a shrug. I was indeed a bit too serious. You're the one running for junior family head. Why do I have to care so much? Yi Zichen smiled in self-mockery, then raised his eyebrows as he slowly backed away. At the same time, he looked towards Gu Li, who had just been lifted up from the ground, and Gu Tiandao, who was beside him. I nearly forgot you two are both surnamed Gu. I'm merely an outsider, I might have thought too much. Alright, I'll quit. I won't interfere in your election anymore. Gu Li turned around and left with a smile. He turned around and left with a smile on his face. Fatty Een also looked at Gu Tian with a playful expression, then left with Gu Tian. Tianji, is it alright to let that big bro leave? Actually, it's fine with me. Gu Li said plainly. Gu Tian twitched his lips as he watched Yi Zichen leave, then reached out his hand to rub Yi Zichen's hair. Chapter 341. Consolation. Within a quiet hospital ward, Gu Li's leg was suspended in a cast. An old man with white hair stood by the window of his room. The old man habitually wanted to light a cigarette for himself, but Gu Li raised his eyebrows with a smile. Elder Hua, this is a hospital. A faint laugh sounded out from Gu Li's mouth. Only then did the old man turn around and put the cigarette back into the box with a coy smile. The old man was none other than Hua Li, who followed by Gu Tian's side. I forgot. The old geezer's eyes were filled with indescribable age. He let out a seemingly exhausted sigh, then glanced at Gu Li's dangling right leg. He still didn't notice? You don't know how good my tolerance is. Gu Li smiled faintly, a hint of lingering fear on his face. Don't look at how this kid Gu Tian is a little rash, but the kid he found is very shrewd. I just went to eavesdrop, and he found out right away. Luckily, my acting skills are better. When he gave me acupuncture and broke my leg, I was in so much pain. With a sinister smile, he slammed his hand on the table. I'll remember that brat. When I take control of the Gu family, he must die. Hee hee. Hua Li laughed lightly. What, you want me to be discovered? It seems that you are very disdainful of my actions? Don't forget, your daughter's child is still waiting for you to pick her up. Hua Li's face stiffened and his fingers trembled. His murky eyes were filled with anger. What happened to me? I just want to be friends with your granddaughter. Why do you have to be like this? Gu Li, don't go overboard. No one in the family can threaten your position now. On the day of the election, the position of young patriarch will be yours. Can you let my granddaughter go? Gu Li squinted his eyes and twitched his mouth. Don't worry, Gu Li. You really know how to joke. Who can say for sure until the last moment? Let's wait. It won't take long, right? Displeasure surfaced on Hua Li's aged face. Seeing that, Gu Li hurriedly comforted him. Don't be like this. Haven't we been cooperating happily all this while? Alright, don't stay here for too long. If I allow that silly kid Gu Tian to react, then I would have suffered for nothing. Remember your promise. Hua Li said indifferently, then turned around and left. As Gu Li watched him leave, his expression darkened even more. Old thing, you actually dare to be so shameless with me. As soon as he finished speaking, he took out his phone and spoke into the microphone. Send Hua Li's granddaughter to my room tonight. This is King infuriating. Yi Zichen sat on the sofa of the hotel suite angrily. That brat Gu Tian actually didn't believe him. What's more, he'd been so ruthless, yet he still hadn't exposed Gu Li's true colors, angry. Is there a need for that? Fatty Een smiled faintly and crossed his legs. That kid called Gu Li is very scheming, and very patient. It's very normal that he couldn't discover Gu Tian. But that brat Gu Tian is truly a bit dumb. He's too straightforward. He deserves to be tricked. Yi Zichen felt extremely angry when he thought about Gu Tian's actions. No need, Fatty Een shrugged. Fatty Een shrugged his shoulders and said, since you don't need to help Gu Tian in the selection for the position of young master, then the matters here in the capital should come to an end. I'll book a ticket back to Bingqing when my mom comes back later. Ziz. It seems like you hurt that brat pretty deeply. Fatty Een smiled playfully. At that moment, the door to the hotel room opened. Yirong walked in from outside, while Gu Tian, who was holding a fruit in his hand, stood beside her. Big brother Yi. Fatty, let's get together again when we have time. Thank you for taking care of me during this period of time. Yi Zichen cupped his hands towards Fatty Een, then rolled his eyes and returned to his bedroom. Een Qiong walked past Gu Tian with a smile. However, his playful smile caused Gu Tian's expression to turn even more awkward. What? Did you get into a conflict with Zichen? Yirong asked curiously. She did not know what had happened to the Gu family. He had met Gu Tian along the way and brought him here. And auntie, this big brother Yi seems to be quite angry with me, so I won't bother you anymore. Yirong left the room with a coy smile. Yirong hesitated for a moment, then walked in front of Yi Zichen's bedroom and knocked on the door. We have nothing to talk about. You can leave. Zichen, open up. It's me. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then sat up from the bed and opened the bedroom door. He subconsciously glanced to the side, and only spoke when he realized that Gu Tian was no longer there. Where did that kid go? He's gone. Yirong chuckled, walked to the sofa in the room, sat down and said, Did you two have a conflict? Shouldn't you be in the Gu family now? Why did you come back to the hotel? It's nothing. Let's book a plane ticket back. Is there any need to hide anything from me? Yirong caressed Yi Zichen's hair. After a moment of hesitation, he told her everything. I didn't expect something like this to happen. Yirong raised her eyebrows in surprise. Are you sure you don't want to help him? This silly boy, if I don't help him, he might be played to death in the end. Yi Zichen rolled his eyes in annoyance. Hearing that, Yirong nodded and smiled. What's there to be angry about? People need face, trees need bark. That kid already said that, and I'm helping him? How sick am I? Yi Zichen snorted in annoyance. You weren't there. That Gu Li is truly good at acting. Even now, I want to beat him up when I think of him. Gu Tian is also stupid, fuming with anger. Since that's what you think, what's there to be angry about? Yirong caressed Yi Zichen's hair with a smile. Gu Tian's personality is rather similar to his father's. He's rather straightforward, and doesn't have any bad intentions. However, he's rather dumb sometimes. He's dumb. Yi Zichen was speechless for a long time. After a long while, he finally spoke up helplessly. He's truly too dumb. I don't even know how to describe it. Yirong revealed a gentle smile when she saw his speechless expression. Now that he's in trouble, you should help him. He's a bit straight, but aren't you not straight as an older brother? Are you just going to stand by and watch someone bully your little brother? Yi Zichen remained silent. Seeing that he didn't react, Yirong spoke up once again. Chapter 342. The night before the junior family head election. After a long time, Yi Zichen was unable to refuse Yirong's request. After a moment of silence he nodded. Let's talk about it later. If I can help, then help. If I can't, then there's nothing I can do. I don't even dare to imagine what that little fellow Gu Li is capable of. Seeing that, Yirong smiled in relief and patted his shoulders. All right, then we'll do as you say. All right, we'll do as you say. I'll help if I can. Yi Zichen left the room with a smile, then laid on the bed and took out his phone to check his WeChat. The latest status update was sent by Suyun. It was a photo of him and a beauty. Actually, it wouldn't be strange at all if he had a beauty by his side. However, it was rather strange that he actually announced it in WeChat. Below it were a bunch of replies from his roommate. Most of them were angry that he actually reached out his claws towards a beauty once again. Yi Zichen shook his head with a smile, then liked the post. Buzz, less than 30 seconds after she liked it, Suyun called. How is it over at the capital? Does it feel like a cannon entering the city? Suyun laughed playfully, while the sound of a girl's giggles occasionally sounded out from the other side. Yi Zichen raised his eyebrows, then ignored his mockery. You're really so free that you have time to call me when you're with a girl? Haha, with our relationship, isn't it normal for me to call? Su Yun chuckled. When are you coming back to Bingqing? I'll introduce you to true love, Yi Zichen asked playfully. True love, Su Yun replied with certainty. All right, then wait a few more days. Once I'm done with the things over at the capital, I'll go back and see just who that girl is for my bro to be so infatuated with him, Yi Zichen replied with a smile. Su Yun replied with a smile, nodded, and hung up after saying a few more words. Who were you calling just now? A cute question sounded out. Su Yun raised his eyebrows and put his phone back into his pocket, then picked up a spicy skewer from the table with a smile. My really good friend. A very good friend of mine. I'll let you meet him when he comes back. Yi Zichen? The girl blinked with a smile. Su Yun was momentarily stunned. How did you know? You mentioned it to me before, the girl replied calmly. Really? I actually mentioned him to you. Su Yun scratched his head, then replied with a smile. That's possible. But you're pretty amazing to actually remember him. And the girl nodded and picked up the spicy skewers from the table with a smile. All right, let's not talk about him. Where are we going to play later? Let's go play in the computer room later, Su Yun asked tentatively. All right. The girl nodded gently and didn't say anything else. 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. Yi Zichen stayed in the hotel and gathered information about the Gu family through Fatty Yin's channels. Right now, the Gu family's situation was not optimistic, That kid Gu Tian should be regretting it now. Fatty Yin sat on the sofa with his legs crossed, then casually chucked the report his subordinate sent in front of Yi Zichen. That little guy, Gu Li, has already made his move. The report showed that the elders around the Gu clan's young generation's candidate for the young clan head election had mysteriously disappeared or died. He asked for it, but don't say that he regrets it. With his IQ, he won't be able to guess anything. Yi Zichen squinted his eyes indifferently, then flipped through the report, then chucked it onto the table. What? You don't want to help him? Fatty Yin smiled faintly. Tonight seems to be the day of the Gu family's junior family head election. Those who can threaten Gu Li have either died or disappeared. However, he has the support of several elders by his side. If nothing unexpected happens, the position of young clan leader will very likely be his. Are the people of the Gu family stupid? Those elders and guest chamberlains were killed by Gu Li. I don't believe that the Gu family can't see through such a simple logic. Yi Zichen snorted indifferently, while Fatty Yin shrugged. That's right. They're not stupid, and they can indeed see it. But what's the use? Yi Zichen fell silent. Fatty Yin's words were correct. At this moment, the choice of junior family head had already reached the point where the arrow was knocked on the bowstring and had no choice but to be released. The disappearance or death of those elders was indeed a serious loss to the Gu family. But this was no longer enough to stop the advancement of the young clan head election. In the selection of the young patriarch, the elders began to vote. The ones that disappeared or died might have been people that Gu Li had failed to instigate. As for the ones that remained, they should have already defected. If nothing unexpected happened, Gu Li should receive the most vote. You still have 3 hours to decide. Help or not. It's up to you. Fatty Yin stood up from the sofa and clapped his hands. Just then, Lulu and Go Yuzhan walked in. If we need your help, we'll all follow you. Even if you want to wreak havoc in the Gu family's election, we can help you. If you don't want to help, then so be it. Lulu giggled, then hugged Yi Zichen's shoulders. Anyway, I'm just following you. They promised to give me a dozen lollipops after this. Boss Yi, you can't swindle me when the time comes, Go Yuzhan mumbled from behind. 3 hours, huh? Yi Zichen squinted his eyes. At the Gu household, seeing that it was almost time for the junior family head election, the Gu family's heirs, direct descendants, and branch family members all hurried over. At that moment there were a lot of people in the Gu household, but the atmosphere was extremely strange. All of the candidates were carefully dressing themselves up, but most of their expressions were filled with a faint sense of helplessness. Only Gu Li. He smiled leisurely. At that moment, he was no longer sitting in a wheelchair. The black suit made him look well-ironed. He smiled faintly as he looked at the smile on his face through the mirror. From the reflection in the mirror, he could feel the passion in his eyes. Junior family head election. Yi Zichen rubbed his chin with a faint smile, then turned around and looked towards the bronze-skinned man in the room. Those people are under control, right? Naturally. The man smiled sinisterly. If nothing unexpected happens, you will definitely become the junior family head this time. When that happens, we will find a chance to get rid of that geezer of the Gu family. Then, you will become the successor of the Gu family's #1 family head. Not bad. Gu Li pursed his lips and chuckled, but the man beside him spoke up. Chapter 343. The Eve of the Young Patriarch Election, Part 2. The bronze-skinned man looked up. Gu Li squinted his eyes and smiled, then grabbed an apple from the table and chucked it towards him. Naturally, both sides have to do their best. I'm not the kind of person who would burn bridges after crossing the river. Gu Li smiled calmly. The bronze-skinned man laughed sinisterly once more. All right, if that's the case, then I'll see you later. See you later. As he watched the man leave, Gu Li's gaze gradually darkened. Cooperating with them was just an expedient measure. They really thought that he was sincere in cooperating with them. As long as he could control the Gu family's resources, then cooperation? What the hell was that? Little did he know that the bronze-skinned man had the same thoughts as him. As long as he achieved his goal, he would get rid of this little guy. At that time, the Gu family would be theirs. Both sides were testing each other with ulterior motives. No one knew who would have the last laugh. Young Master Little Tian, it's time. In Gu Tian's room, Huali bowed as he stood in front of the door. Gu Tian nodded and stood up from the sofa. At this moment, he was wearing a light blue suit, and Huali was the only one left beside him. As for the square-faced elder who followed him, he was nowhere to be found. Someone has been playing tricks in the dark these past few days. Elder Hua, you have to be careful during the election. Yes. Huali's face stiffened. His eyes flickered as he did not dare to look him in the eye. Let's go. The location of the Junior Patriarch election was an open-air martial arts arena. The area of the martial arts arena was extremely large, and the location of the election was set up here so that all the Gu family members and attendants could watch. As early as 3 hours ago, this place was already filled with people. These onlookers who didn't know the truth all wanted to know who would become the true successor of the Gu family. Young Master Xiaotian has arrived. Someone shouted loudly, and it wasn't long before Gu Tian and Huali appeared on the practice grounds. In the training field, there were already a few clan brothers sitting on their chairs with dejected expressions. This group of people used to be ambitious people, but at this moment they were pitiful lonely worms. Gu Tian, when Gu Tian intended to sit down, a voice suddenly resounded from the side. He turned his head and saw his elder brother, Gu Hong, sitting beside him. He was the most ambitious candidate in the Gu family for the junior family head election, and he was also the strongest candidate 3 days ago. At this moment, there were no supporters behind him. His eyes were bloodshot and his face was full of fatigue. Big brother. Actually, we've all been played. Gu Hong smiled bitterly and helplessly. None of us here can become the young clan leader. Why do you say that? Glancing around the martial arts practice field, all the candidates had arrived. Why did Gu Hong say that no one could succeed? Wasn't the successor supposed to be chosen from among them? You'll know when the time comes. Really, you'll definitely be shocked. Just now, before Gu Hong could finish his sentence, another shout sounded out from the martial arts practice grounds. Young Master Gu Li has arrived. Little Li. Gu Tian was stunned. Why would he come to such a place? Shouldn't he be recuperating in the hospital now? He subconsciously turned around and saw 7 or 8 elders of the Gu family standing behind Gu Li. More importantly, his legs. He walked out standing up. At the sight of this, Gu Hong smiled bitterly from the side. When he saw Gu Li, he was also shocked that Gu Li was actually able to stand up. Among the brothers, no one had ever doubted that Gu Li's legs were fine. However, the moment he saw Gu Li stand up, Gu Hong guessed something. Although he was furious, he could only endure it. Little Li. Gu Tian still did not understand what was going on. Gu Li revealed a faint smile. Tianji, why did you come here? Also, your legs. Gu Tian said in shock. Gu Li smiled. Of course I came here to run for the junior family head election. Of course I'm here to run for the young clan leader. My leg. I'm sorry, I've been lying to you all this time. As soon as he finished speaking, he raised his eyebrows and walked towards his seat. Little Li. Do you still want to call him Little Li? Gu Hong smiled bitterly. Gu Tian, Gu Li isn't as simple as we thought. He has been enduring all this time for this moment. Later, we can't call him Little Li anymore. We have to call him Young Family Head Gu Li. How? How? Even now, Gu Tian was unwilling to believe that all of this was true. If all of this is true, then doesn't that mean that I truly missed out on Big Brother Yi that day? When he turned around, he saw Gu Li waving towards him with a smile. The smile contained faint anticipation and excitement. It was this innocent face that caused others to be unable to help but want to protect him. However, at that moment Gu Tian felt that it was extremely disgusting. He's actually been faking it the entire time. All of a sudden, the words that Yi Zichen shouted towards him surfaced in Gu Tian's mind. He's faking it all. I'm helping you, brat. Do you know that he's been enduring it the entire time? Do you know how dangerous someone like that is? When he's truly prepared to bare his fangs, it's even possible for him to swallow you whole. Can you wake up a bit? Creak. Gu Tian clenched his teeth, then looked up powerlessly at the gradually darkening sky. Big Brother Yi, I'm sorry. As the sky gradually darkened, the number of spectators did not decrease at all. Instead, more and more people came. The candidates for the position of junior family head sat on the chairs in the center of the martial arts field with different expressions. Some of them were trying to form alliances, while others chose to give up. Gu Tian leaned back on the chair with a distracted expression. At that moment, he was no longer in the mood to get involved in all of this. He was not good at scheming, and he disliked these conspiracy theories even more. All he could do now was sit obediently on the chair, wait for the family head and the elders to conduct the ceremony, announce the results, then go home and sleep. The family head has arrived. A loud voice sounded out. All of a sudden, the noisy discussions in the martial arts field stopped. The person who appeared in the martial arts field was an old man with white hair. He was hunched over, while his murky eyes contained a terrifying sharpness. May the family head be blessed. The young masters all stood up and bowed. The old man nodded, then swept his gaze across the candidates, before landing on Gu Li. After looking at him for half a minute, the old man finally moved his gaze away and raised his hands. Begin the ceremony. A bonfire suddenly lit up in the center of the martial arts field, illuminating the pitch-black night. At the same time, Wu. Chapter 344. The competition. The low but powerful sound of the bugle horn reverberated in the huge practice field. The surrounding clansmen were all shocked by the sound of the horn, while their gazes turned even more serious as they looked at the candidates on the stage who were preparing to compete in the future. Among this group of candidates, there would be someone who would lead them down the path of dew. It's finally begun. On the chair, Gu Li's gaze became more and more heated. He clenched his fists tightly, while his calm expression revealed his restless heart. I've waited 10-odd years for this day. I've endured enough humiliation during this period of time. It's time for me to take off the laurel crown and place it on my head. He swept his gaze across the faces of his brothers indifferently. In his eyes, all of their expressions were like the funniest joke in the world. After that, he shot his gaze towards Gu Tian in the end. My poor Lil Tianji, his thoughts must be very cute right now. However, when Huali leaves his side, I wonder if he will cry or laugh at that time. Gu Li muttered. At the same time, a faint sigh flashed across the eyes of the elder sitting on the highest seat in the training field. None of us paid attention to that brat Gu Li. If we all had ulterior motives, we would definitely let that brat take that title. Gu De, who had brought Gu Tian back to the capital, looked at Gu Li with a dark gaze. Gu Li merely smiled faintly when he felt the unfriendly gaze, and even nodded towards him. That bastard! Gu De clenched his fists tightly and said to the people beside him, "Lend me your people. Lend me your people. When the time comes, if I am chosen, we can discuss the position of the young patriarch. However, if that bastard Gu Li becomes it, then none of us will have a good time." With that, he took out his phone and started to quickly send messages to the other candidates. The contents of the messages were exactly the same as what he had just said. Ding dong. Gu Tian's phone rang while he was still in shock. When he took out his phone and saw the message, he subconsciously looked towards Gu De. At that moment, Gu De was also looking at him. Out of all the candidates, he could not guarantee that Gu Tian would agree with his thoughts. That kid had always been straight since he was young. All of them knew this in their hearts. He put his phone back into his pocket without replying. Seeing this scene, Gud's eyebrows tightly knitted together, but soon relaxed again. Damn, this Gen. Never mind. He doesn't have many supporters. It doesn't matter if he's gone. Cursing in his mind, Good lowered his head and fiddled with his phone to instill a sense of alignment into other candidates. Young Master Xiaotian, what's wrong? Huali said calmly. Gu Tian shrugged and smiled. Gu De is trying to form an alliance. I didn't respond. It seems a little too late to recruit allies now. Huali's tone was still indifferent, while Gu Tian nodded his head in a noncommittal manner. I know, right? Just then, the horn stopped blowing. The ancient clan leader stood up from his chair. The surrounding spectators all knew that the election was about to begin. He thought he would hear an impassioned speech, but let's begin the election. We will dispense with the other rules and regulations. Let's vote. With such a plain sentence, the Gu clan leader took his seat once again. As the clan leader, he could not be blinded by the outside world. At this moment, he already knew in his heart that the position of young patriarch would most likely fall to that child, the child who had never attracted his attention but had given him a severe blow in the past few days. As expected, the older one gets, the more shrewd they become. Grandpa seems to know everything already. Gu Li's smile widened, then his lips curled into a mocking smile. But he can't stop it now, right? He was the one who started it all. I just took a shortcut. After a while, he looked at Good with a playful expression. It's so cute to form a clique. It's just that, when the time comes, the voting might surprise you. Young Master Gu Li, we're leaving. The elders and guest chamberlains behind him spoke up. Gu Li nodded indifferently. Go, think about your family and decide to vote. His flat and slightly threatening words caused the expressions of the elders and guests in the surroundings to change, and they nodded with an embarrassed smile before leaving. At the same time, Huali, who stood behind Gu Tian, spoke out. Young Master Xiaotian, I'm going now. Aha! Elder Hua, no need to feel troubled. Just vote according to your own thoughts. Gu Tian had already lost the desire to compete for the position of the junior family head. The only thing he couldn't accept was being tricked by Gu Li for so long, yet he still had to personally witness Gu Li becoming the junior family head of the Gu family. The voting took half an hour. During that time, Gud's face was filled with nervousness. He cupped his fists and silently prayed for the position of junior family head to land on his head. From start to finish, Gu Li's expression remained calm and collected. He knew very well that this position was his for sure. The election is over. The Gu family's head butler shouted loudly, then walked in front of the ballot box. The moment the box was opened, the results were clear. All the other boxes were empty. Only Gu Li's box was filled with recommendation vote. Of course, not everyone was empty. There was also a vote in Gu Tian's box, which was from Huali. Gu Li truly is a child who knows how to endure. The head butler shook his head and sighed. He glanced towards Gu Li. To have such a scheming mind at such a young age. Actually, it wasn't a good thing. However, as the head butler of the Gu family, he had to maintain fairness. He raised his head and looked towards the surrounding people, announcing the results. The candidate with the highest recommendation votes is Gu Li. He will become the junior family head of the Gu family, as well as the first successor to the position of family head. Pa. The phone in Gud's hand instantly fell onto the ground. On the other hand, Gu Li was not surprised at all when he heard the results. He had already expected all of this. Gu Li, come up. At that moment, the Gu family head also opened his turbid eyes. Gu Li stood up from the chair with his hands behind his back. I protest, I demand to have the votes checked. Gud roared with bloodshot eyes. Head butler merely took a look. He didn't even know anything. What right does he have to say that he is the junior family head? Then come up and see for yourself. The head butler took a step back indifferently. Gud glared at him and walked up. When he saw the votes in the box, Gu Li, you truly played your cards well. Gu Li gnashed his teeth so hard that they creaked. He smiled and shrugged. You look so ugly. Pitiful thing. Gu Li glanced at him sinisterly, then raised his head up high. At that moment, the head butler also walked up. Who else has any objections? If anyone else has any objections, you can raise them. You can all come up and have your tickets checked. If there are no objections, then the junior family head this time will be Gu Li. Everyone lowered their heads with a sigh. Just as Gu Li was about to walk towards the Gu family head in victory. Chapter 345. Bang, bang, bang. Two figures flew out from a dark corner, causing the surrounding crowd to subconsciously move aside. The head butler frowned. The two people that flew out were the ones he had arranged to stand guard outside, in order to prevent people from other families from causing trouble. Those two people could be called the top fighting power of the Gu family. They were at the late stage of the false, immortal level. However, his eyelids couldn't help but twitch when he saw them get beaten up like dead dogs. Sorry, these two people blocked us from entering, so I had no choice but to use forceful methods. Not long later, Yi Zichen, who was wearing casual clothes, walked out from the darkness with Lu Lu, Fatty Yin and Go Yuzhan. Gu Li's eyelids twitched when he saw Yi Zichen. Big brother Yi. Gu Tian, who was sitting on the chair, was also shocked. At the same time, the butler in charge of the junior family head election also spoke up. Who dares to cause trouble in the Gu family, and at this time? Do you want to challenge the Gu family? Ziziz. Who are you trying to scare? Yi Zichen twitched his mouth in disdain. Isn't it just a junior family head election? This is a farce in itself, yet you guys are enjoying it so much? Don't speak nonsense. The head butler frowned and roared. Take them down. They were in the middle of the junior family head election. Guest chamberlains and elders were all present. Causing trouble here was the same as challenging the entire Gu family. Even the other hidden families wouldn't dare to start a war with the Gu family in this sort of situation, even if they mobilized all of their fighting power. There were only 4 people. The surrounding Gu family guest chamberlains and elders all charged towards Yi Zichen. At that moment, the temperature in the air suddenly dropped. Lu Lu's icy hair fluttered in the wind, while her cute face was also filled with an inviolable expression. Whoever dares to take a step forward, die. Crash. A thick layer of ice instantly formed on the stone floor. All of the surrounding spectators, elders and guest chamberlains stopped. A shocked expression also surfaced on the head butler's face. You don't dare to move any more, right? Yi Zichen lit a cigarette leisurely, then walked forward step by step. What he was doing right now could be said to be trampling on the dignity of the Gu family. Despite that, not a single person in the Gu family dared to go against him. What are you doing here? Don't think that our Gu family is afraid just because we're not attacking you. You are challenging the bottom line of our Gu family. Ziz. Yi Zichen shook his head mockingly. Isn't it embarrassing? Isn't it because you're afraid? Then come. I'm standing right here. Do your people dare to come within 10 meters of me? Only then did Yi Zichen twitch his mouth with a snort. You're still talking big. The Gu family has fallen. Now that he's no longer the leader of the hidden family, why is he still pretending? Little friend, you're not here to mock our Gu clan, are you? The Gu clan is indeed in dire straits, but if you're really here to provoke us, even if this old bag of bones knows that I'm no match for you, I'll still have to fight you. The Gu family head, who was sitting on the chair, released a faint aura. Yi Zichen looked up at the old man. He should be the one who pushed his mother out back then. Don't say such nice things, okay? Yi Zichen's gaze instantly turned cold. Even though Yi Rong had told him multiple times not to hold any grudges towards the Gu family, how could he not hold a grudge when he thought about that man and his mother's situation? The Gu family head also felt the deep enmity the young man had towards him, causing him to subconsciously take another look at the young man. Yi Zichen twitched his mouth with a faint smile. You what you? Don't think too much, geezer. Don't think too much into it, geezer. I didn't come for any reason, I just don't like your trusting young family head. Didn't you guys say that anyone disagreed? I disagree. Does it matter if you disagree or not? This is the Gu family, it's not a place for you to behave atrociously. Gu Li glared. At that moment, he truly started to panic. Everything had been going according to his script from the start of the election, but Yi Zichen's appearance instantly changed the script. He couldn't just watch as everything he had prepared go to waste. Little fellow, you weren't like this a few days ago. What? You got a bit anxious and couldn't hide it anymore? Yi Zichen glanced at him playfully, then walked beside Gu Tian and patted his shoulder. I'm this brat's supporter. I'm a supporter of this brat. I hope that the position of the young clan leader will go to him. Big brother Yi, Gu Tian said apologetically. Gu Tian said apologetically. At that moment, he truly regretted saying such harsh words to Yi Zichen. Now you know the truth, right? Who told you not to believe me back then? Yi Zichen snorted, then shrugged plainly as he looked at Gu Tian's twitching lips. All right, we'll settle the score after everything is over. The Gu family head stared closely at Yi Zichen. This young man looks way too similar to that person. The scene from back then was still fresh in his mind. It could be said that his decision back then was his worst mistake. He closed his eyes in pain. After a long while, he opened his eyes once again and sighed. Young man, the votes have already been decided. The position of our Gu family's young family head is no joke. It's not something that you can change just because you say so. Hey, don't be too confident. If I really used force to request for the position of young family head, would you really refuse? Don't forget your weak decision back then. Yi Zichen's faint mockery caused huge waves in the Gu family head's heart. He wanted to say something with trembling hands, but was interrupted by Yi Zichen. Of course, I'm not the sort of person to force others. I heard Gu Tian say that your Gu family fought with the underworld and heavenly court back then? It's just because you haven't descended for a long time. Since that's the case, I'll let you see the ghost servants of the underworld when I have the chance. Wow. The surrounding people instantly went into an uproar. The Gu family head, who sat on the high seat, instantly forgot about Yi Zichen's identity and stood up. If you can summon the ghost servants of the underworld here, the position of young family head, no, the position of family head will be Gu Tian's. Ziz, you're in such a hurry. Yi Zichen smiled playfully. However, a hint of bitterness surfaced on the Gu family head's face. I am indeed in a hurry. Little friend, if you can truly summon the ghost servants, then hurry up and show me your divine abilities. After you summon them, you will become an esteemed guest of the Gu family, and be on the same level as the family head. Never mind. Your Gu family can't contain a great deity like me. Yi Zichen shook his head with a faint smile, then reached out his hand to summon the ghost servants of the underworld. However, at that very moment, Gu Li, who had maintained his gloomy expression, said something shocking.